top two slots in the Senate field now mapped out. We have millages in Baton Rouge that moved forward, and a handful of other races from around the state that we're going to take a look back on as the show wears on this morning. Won't be all election coverage, but it will be a lot of election coverage coming your way. So let's get right down to it. Top stories and trending. The stage is set. It's Julia Letlow versus Jamie Davis in the November general election. Of course, they won't be the only ones on the ballot, as this is where all the third-party candidates will sign up as well. This will be a general election. Like we said, everything up until now has been a closed party primary. All three proposed millages in EBR passed comfortably. The library, the Council on Aging, and BREC have all been re-upped for another decade. All three of them passed with 64% or more voting yay. A Saturday night shooting at a McDonald's on Perkins Road left one man injured. According to the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, officials said the incident occurred around 11:45 p.m. at the McDonald's along Perkins near Bluebonnet. The victim was shot in the leg, taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. A pair of other shootings on Sunday, not necessarily related though. A 49-year-old man was killed. This one's also Saturday. A 49-year-old man was killed. 4 others were injured when a fight among teenagers escalated to gunfire Saturday afternoon. BRPD said Randall Holmes and 4 other people were shot around 3:30 p.m. near the intersection of Osceola and Calumet Streets, which is in a neighborhood near the Wyandotte and Mohican Street exit off of I-110. Police say an argument between the teenagers led to a fight. From there, well, BR is going to BR. We did have another person killed Sunday evening. That person was killed in a shooting off Bluegrass Drive. And it wasn't just shootings that were deadly over the weekend. A woman was killed. 2 others were injured in separate crashes along Plank Road early Sunday morning. According to BRPD, 66-year-old Carolyn Evans was hit and killed along Plank Road near Denham Street just after midnight. Officers said around 2:30 a.m., 2 others were struck by a vehicle near the corner of Plank and Byron Avenue. They were transported to the hospital in critical condition. What you say there, Wilton?
Got a few trending topics.
You're not
today.
one. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Got a few trending topics today for you, Brian. First up, the U.S. Supreme Court is apparently set to release another round of rulings. So be ready for some decisions on everything from birthright citizenship to transgender athletes competing in girls' sports.
Yeah, and limits on presidential powers, I believe, is going to be in that mix as well before it's all said and done. So, yeah, one more tranche, if you will, coming from SCOTUS.
Another trending story coming your way, the death toll from last week's earthquakes in Venezuela. We are still getting the figure around that, but right now, the official count is at about 1,500. What actually might be worse is there are still over 50,000 people missing. So you can probably expect that number to rise
greatly.
Lots of heartbreak in Venezuela
this
week.
Hearing a lot about hearing individual stories of folks being found alive, even this far out, right? Even like been trapped since the earthquakes themselves. Folks being found alive over the weekend, but that number's in the dozens compared to the hundreds, or thousands now that it's past 1,500. It's going to go up from there. It's just you want to look for the good news story there, but man, it just pales in comparison.
Yeah, and I've actually heard some of them. Some of the ones, especially being found alive, a lot of the Venezuelan citizens actually taking the search efforts into their own hands, been going out into the rubble searching for their own loved ones. I mean, it's tough to even imagine.
Wouldn't you though? I mean, that's kind of like, so would I. You hear that and you think you would think, let's put this in our perspective, right? You hear that and you would think there are emergency officials, first responders, people who are trained in some way, shape, or form to do this. So everyone else just kind of wait and let them go. But then think about this: United Cajun Navy. This is what we do here. Like that's exactly what it's the same thing, but with a different setting, I guess you will.
definitely something that we can relate to here
big time
in our neck of the woods. I got one more trending story for you, Brian. In case you didn't hear, got something a little bit more positive. Journey played the Cajun Dome in Lafayette last night, and Eagle 98.1 was all over that. Scotty Mac attended that, and if you want to check out some photos, the Eagle 98.1 Facebook page has you covered. We got all kinds of photos from the fans that attended and from Scotty Mac himself. So
I would love to hear more about that, because I mean, it's Journey, like it's the classics, the end of the Sopranos, like so many of the songs that we know and love, but are they still pumping it out the same? You always look for that. I was bumping around Facebook last night, and somebody was posting a picture. I know this is not the same, but it's similar. Posting a picture of Barry Manilow in concert, and dude doesn't even look human anymore. It's like, do rock stars, and Barry Manilow's not a rock star, he's something different completely, but like, is there a definitive time to just hang it up?
You think that would happen already,
right?
Actually, the guy they have right now, Arnel Pineda, they got him after Steve Perry. He stopped in 1998.
Yeah,
Arnel Pineda, he is begging to retire. He's done doing it. They found him, and he's got the voice, and he's just done doing it. He's tried to retire twice already. Band's not having it. They're on the farewell tour right now.
Another farewell tour. This is the farewell tour from the farewell tour. This is
one day they'll have to pack it up, I guess.
I just, you when you're an athlete, the retirement's imminent when, like, you have competition out there, and the competition is a step ahead of you. You can see it visibly. Journey doesn't have to play defense. Journey doesn't have to run the floor and get a transition game. Journey doesn't have Giannis dunking on them.
People are still coming to the show.
I know. But like, are they leaving the show being like, man, that's not what I thought it was going to be? I don't know.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Check out the photos on Eagle 98.1 Facebook.
Yep.
And if you want to sound off.
Absolutely. It is 612 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We're going to talk sports. Speaking of retirees from sports, a lot of inductions into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame over the weekend. We'll have that for you when we come back in just a little bit. Before we take our first break, though, want to remind you about the folks over at Guarantee Health Solutions. GuaranteeHealth.com is the website. The tagline when you get on that homepage, guiding healthcare forward. That's a little vague, but let's get a little bit deeper. Guiding healthcare forward, how? Well, this is an emphasis on the hospitality end of healthcare, born out of personal experience, born out of personal tragedy, where owner and founder of Guarantee Health, Rachel Fricke, when she was going through some stuff with a relative and just could not help but walk away from that experience feeling cold and transactional. Like, they weren't, patients, they were subjects. It did not work for her, and she said there had to be a better way, and she's worked out a better way. A 4-pillar program that can grow your medical office through a hospitality inspired service standard. Learn more at guaranteehealth.com.
And I was going to let you do it and let you just sing. And I was like, no, let me go. That was on me. I should have just let you sing.
Nope. That's the live show. You can show them.
I know, but Kate wants me to be more hands off today. No, that's Foreigner. Yeah, cold as ice. I was thinking 38 special. Alan, that's not Journey.
Well, are you doing Moral Dilemma Monday, though?
I am.
Okay.
I'm switching with, and then I'll do top stories and trending for the first hour, and then I'll hop and let him sit. I said I'll do.
We already did top stories and trending for the first hour. Oh.
I'm already in the seat, is what I'm saying.
Well, you'll have the entire news break.
Yeah, he's like, no, you got a tour.
So it made me go.
Because their fear is they won't be able to find another voice like Arnell, who sounds like Steve. And I get it, but if the man wants to retire, let him retire.
Yeah, I don't know why the rest of the band's not just fine with that. They've got to be, maybe their deal sucks, but they should be getting royalties still on all the streaming and all the stuff. Their songs get used in like movies and TV all the time. You think they'd be getting royalties all of them except Arnell, you know? But
once they hang up their hat this time, I'll say that if they hang up their hat this time, Arnell will still get paid on the tours that he's done.
we won't get writing and
Well, how many of the guys are still the originals?
I think the rest of them except for the singer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe it's just Steve Perry.
616 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We've got the Fox Business Report coming your way about 4 minutes from right now. We will have election results. Really going to break things down at 6:35. We might introduce it in the next segment, but 6:35 we'll break it down election results. 7:35 Scott McKay from the Hayride is going to hop on for that same topic, and then 8:15, of course, we talk about everything under the sun with Moon, and elections will obviously rule the day there. And we're going to have a couple of different takes throughout. It's not just going to be numbers for you, although I'm a numbers nerd, which we're going to get into in the next segment. Right now, though, we've got two different sports stories to cover, one that's global, one that's local. Let's start off with the global. In the World Cup, congrats to Canada. First time making the knockout rounds, and sure enough, they're in the Sweet 16. I don't think they call it the Sweet 16 there, but they're in the round of 16. Making the knockout round and then defeating, I believe it was South Africa 1-0 in bonus time or extra time or extended time, overtime. I'm not sure what it's called, but they were 92 minutes in to the contest to move ahead. So Canada moves forward. And the U.S., I don't think we play until Wednesday. I might be wrong about that, but double check. But I'm pretty sure we don't play till Wednesday in the World Cup. So more locally, though, this is where my attention was. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame held their induction ceremonies Saturday. A lot of great video bumping around social media, covering a lot of it. I was following a lot of the John Brady stuff. You showed me a John Brady clip, and I'm in. We have no idea, and I know I say this way too often, we have no idea how blessed we are, basketball-wise, to have John Brady on the call with Chris Blair for LSU Sports Radio. Those two combined, they've got such a great chemistry. They're such a great pairing. And John Brady, of course, is just about as relatable and informative as he's the best of the best. Anyway, John Brady was in the class on Saturday night, as was, speaking of LSU, women's basketball great Sylvia Fowles, inducted in the Sports Hall of Fame. Fowles, of course, helped the Lady Tigers to 4 straight Final Fours, averaging double-doubles and being named SEC and National Defensive Player of the Year, on a 3-time All-American along the way. She says that it was actually head coach Sue Gunner who brought her to Baton Rouge in the first place. Cut 17.
She was like no other, especially on my home visit. She told me she wasn't starting me as a freshman, that I had to earn that spot. And so those things motivated me to want to be around her. And so she pretty much signed, said, delivered me once I heard that line of like, you're going to have to work for everything you want.
Two other LSU names in this mix. That would be former offensive lineman Todd McClure from LSU and, well, from Central. Todd McClure, who I believe is already in the Atlanta Falcons Ring of Honor. So, but now in the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. And then Warren Morris. We all, of course, remember Warren Morris for the dramatic walk-off home run against Miami in the College World Series 30 years ago. God, I'm old. Also in this class was Joe Horn, Longtime New Orleans St. Joe Horn pulled a cell phone out from under the goalpost after a touchdown. Joe Horn. Yes, that Joe Horn. And a handful of others. Right now, we're late for the Fox Business Report. Some sort of countdown, please. Unless I missed it. Shit, this is me. All right, let's go ahead and start you off on the interstates for that check on your drive. Here is what we're looking at. There were some delays mounting on 10 westbound heading across the Mississippi River Bridge. It looks like that has since cleared. That was building up about 5:30 earlier in the morning. Starting you off on 12 westbound coming in from Livingston Parish, we look good. Less than your normal amount of volume on that stretch. 10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish, also good as gold right now. 10 westbound's always looking good from coming in from Ascension unless there's a major accident. I-10 eastbound coming back across from West Baton Rouge Parish is looking smooth to start off your Monday morning, as is 110 in both directions. I mean, a great start to your Monday. That being said, though, it's a holiday week, America 250 this week, so I'm expecting we're probably going to have lighter than normal volume all week long. Surface streets, there's an accident from about 45 minutes ago. It's been pushed off the roadway, but you might still need to look out for it. Winburn and North Acadian. That's really the only thing we got going on. That's your look at traffic from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center. .623 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We got a stacked up show for you guys. We got like I gave you the rundown on the election coverage we're going to have, or the election recap we're going to have. This segment, next segment, I'll be breaking things down. In our 7 o'clock hour, Scott McKay is going to be on at 7:35, but let me give you the rest of the rundown as well. 7:15, of course, we've got Medical Monday coming your way. We'll do a little 4th of July safety right there. You all know the drill, right? I mean, stay hydrated, obviously. I don't want to hear any, hey, y'all watch this when it comes to fireworks. That's, and of course, water and boating safety as well. We'll talk about all that with our friends at Our Lady of the Lake at 7:15. Like I said, Scott McKay from the Hayride at 7:35. In the 8 o'clock hour, we cover everything under the sun with Moon Griffon at 8:15. And then the BREC Room is back in, fresh off of their win at the polls on Saturday. And that is what I want to talk about right now. We're going to get to the Senate race in the next segment. Well, we might spill over to the Senate race this segment. But let's start off with the election results in Baton Rouge from my page reset. From Saturday's election, specifically when it comes to the millages. I'm always amazed with the difference between volume on social media versus actual when we get to the polls. In East Baton Rouge Parish, the library millage passed by a vote of 64 to 36 percentages, right? 47,895 people voted in favor of the library millage. Meanwhile, the Council on Aging was 68%. And then the BREC millage was 63%, 63-37. And obviously the Council on Aging, 68-32. So when you see people going back and forth on social media talking about, we spend too much, we got too many taxes, our taxes are too high, what are we spending on this, what are we spending on that? Well, these three millages in particular, boom, good to go. Like they rolled right through. Couple of interesting notes, and they're interesting to me because, like I said, I'm a big numbers nerd. Couple of interesting notes. You did not have the same number of total votes for all three millages. 74,574 people voted in the library millage, on the library millage, either for or against. 74,507 voted either for or against when it came to the Council on Aging. And then 74,336 when it came to BREC. This is the part that I don't understand. Why would not the same number of people cast a vote across the board? Like the biggest number was the library one, right? 74,574. You're already there. Have a take. You're already there. Have a take on the other two. It's fine. In the meanwhile, and then you got to do a little math on this one, but in the meanwhile, you had in the Senate race, 39,396 people voted on the Democrat side in East Baton Rouge Parish, mind you. Then 31,274 on the Republican side. So a couple of thousand people fewer voted in. Let me do the actual numbers. I didn't intend to do math on the air when I came in this morning, but 39,396 plus 31,274 equals 70,670. So you've got a difference there of you had a difference there of 3,900 people who at some point along the way found themselves inside of a polling place, find themselves inside of a voting booth with a ballot in front of them, and just opted not to vote in the top of the ticket, in the top of the race, whether you're Republican or Democrat. Oh, well, you know what, though? Hang on, because the no parties might have gotten jammed up again. Let me toss that aside. That's 3,900 people, though, that fell into that category. That feels like a big number, especially when the first time around, we all learned how to go about getting your ballot if you were a no party. So I guess it may have affected some people. It seems like a bigger number than it should be for me. But this is where we're at, though. We have all three of these entities get a big thumbs up. And I hate to still be sour grapes about a previous millage that was out there, a previous proposal that was out there. But it wasn't that long ago that our district attorney came hat in hand for the first time in his career, came hat in hand saying, I'm doing my level best to prosecute bad guys and put them in jail. I'm doing my level best to keep the streets safe and not have criminals back out on the streets because we have backed up court systems and ankle monitors die. And you see criminals with 5 ankle monitors around their ankles. Our district attorney came hat in hand asking for a little bit of money, and we rebuffed them. We said no. As a populace, as a people, we said punishing criminals, not important. Making sure that the library is re-upped at 9.5 mils was to the tune of 64.36. Keeping our streets safe, not important. Meals on Wheels, 68.32. It just that I wonder about our priorities. I really, really do. We're going to talk Senate race in the next segment. Hey, speaking of Meals on Wheels, how about meals over at Mathern's? Well, actually, skip the meal. Let me tell you about the coffee. I always overlook this, and then I saw it on the Facebook page yesterday. Mathern's at Kenilworth has a full-on coffee shop inside, y'all, and it is fantastic. I have been there to try it out, in fact. So many great things over at the Mathern's on Kenilworth. When they revamped this store, they brought it back to life in a big, big way. When they revamped the store, they brought it back to life the way a grocery store, a locally owned, locally operated grocery store should look. From the specialty meats in the back to the Louisiana products throughout, the coffee shop in the front. And oh, by the way, earning cash towards more groceries every time you use the Mathern's app. The app's good at all 3 locations, but if you haven't checked out that Kenilworth location yet, I highly recommend it. It's Mathern's. 6:30, here's news.
Both locations do?
Just the Kenilworth.
Game changer. Oh, I'm just redoing Eagles homepage now that journey's over with, and I'll redid the liners.
I need the studio at 10 minutes after 9, and then again at 9:30. Okay,
Yeah, I told him I'm going to put him in ESPN again.
cool. And once again, I'm behind the 8 ball on my Lou Diamond Phillips interview. I did this to him last time too. You hate me.
Remember, ABC campus quit. So as soon as you start working on something, shit, ABC's done. You're doing better than you did. You just got all this remember to take Brian out of program 1. It didn't happen.
That was,
You were
did I
right.
read correct on the thing?
Yeah, you were right. Once they say this is ABC News, they're done. They're done. And the only difference is the top of the hour when they say this is ABC News. Wait, because we have that ad at the top of the hour. Remember, ABC always had that ad at the top. You won't ever have to do that. It's just a normal. I'm in charge
You're
of.
putting if it has ads or not. It's very
I'm just taking care of Eagle stuff, but you won't ever have to do that. Okay. Alan, you singing all? He's singing Commodores. He's singing Europe. I know. Foreigner. Alan, what about Journey? And then he goes, anyways.
Where are we going today?
I don't know.
We going for 11 or 11:30?
We're going to there first, and I think it's 11.
Shit. Okay. Really wanted to be done before then. All right.
As soon as I get done with the show, I'm rushing, and I'll go get my traps done.
Oh.
That's just a little indicator. You see, it says media asset not found. It's just saying that the pot visit report runs this hour. Don't worry about that. That's the first time I see that too.
It was in red, so I wanted to ask about it. It was in red on the wall.
That just tells us.
I knew it wasn't one of his.
That just tells us, yeah. You'll know the difference because it'll say like Materns / Brian Haldane for live compared to like a spot. If it comes up red and it's just by itself, that's a and that was one wrapping, not to spill that, so you don't have to worry about that.
Why does this say 3 months?
Oh, that's me. One bag.
No, is it?
No, the NeuroJust 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that. That's just what it says in the stack on the title of the spot.
Oh, just ignore that.
Okay.
But that's your NeuroJust, and you know
Okay.
my handwriting at the bottom. That's so bad. I didn't mean to write it like that, but
Well, you're fine. I know what that was. I just
Like what just came up in the stacks.
Yeah.
NeuroJust / 3 months.
okay. In fact, I'm gonna bang that out on the front end. .636 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Before we dive into election recap, if you or someone you know is battling with anxiety or depression, I can think of two main ways to knock that out. The first is go to Rocco's and get the Greco-Roman po' boy, because I had that thing on Friday, and that is comfort food. Not going to help you long term with anxiety or depression, but you'll feel better in the short term. If you really want help with your anxiety or depression, you need to go visit NeuroJust. Start off on their website, NEUROJUST, neurojust.com. They're located on Bluebonnet Boulevard. In fact, I'll be swinging by there today. In fact, look out on Talk 107.3 social media later on, either later today or early tomorrow. I'm going to test drive the little TMS therapy there. I'm going to put the helmet on and give it a go because it's one of the more frequent questions we get. It's FDA approved. It is non-invasive. It is painless, but I get the question all the time. What does it feel like? And in fact, I asked Jordan Generous was in last week, and I asked him, and he's like, it's painless. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't, like, what does it feel like? So in order to be able to give you the best description, I'm going to go ahead and do it myself. That's going to come up later on today. You know the deal. If you're battling with anxiety or depression, it's the anxiety is that constant fight or flight, and it's just exhausting. It causes you to shut down. It causes you to isolate. The feelings, so often depression is just conflated with sadness, but it's so much deeper than that. It's a buildup over time, and this is what NeuroJust can do. They can reduce that fight or flight by a great deal, and they've got numbers to back it up. 85% response rate for the folks that go through TMS therapy. Learn more at neurojust.com. So, Congresswoman Julia Letlow has one more race to win. She took a big step on Saturday night, and you heard a little bit of, we're going to hear the same sound bites right here that you heard in news at the bottom of the hour. Took a big step on Saturday night towards that U.S. Senate seat by defeating John Fleming. And it was overall 57-43. That's a pretty decent number right there. 57-43 is a pretty decent number. It was a difference of, 43,000 votes overall with a turnout of 316,000 and change. We're going to get into turnout when we have Scott McKay on with us later on. But the 57% moves her forward into the next round. Cut 10, please.
I knew it was going to be a tough race, and it was. It was filled with trials. But I'm so proud to say that I am truly battle tested for November 3rd, and we're going to go win this thing.
So, Congresswoman Letlow, she's won re-election a couple of times as a congresswoman. This is a little bit different now because Senate's a much, much bigger swimming pool, right? She first was elected in a special election following her husband's tragic death to COVID, which, by the way, misinformation put out by the other side on that one when you saw the social media videos saying she was appointed. No, she was elected. And then, you go up for re-election in 22 and then 24. And so she's been down the campaign road a couple times, but this was so different. Going into a congressional election as an incumbent, you're not going to have, especially with a rising star she has been so far, you're not going to have the level of competition you're going to have in an open, and I say open because though Bill Cassidy was the incumbent, there's a lot of anti-Cassidy sentiment coming into it. So once you got through that first party primary, now it's open between her and John Fleming. Completely different beast. And now, well, she's one step away from replacing Senator Cassidy. Cut 11, please.
I will fight for our families. I'll fight for our farmers. I'll fight for our teachers. I will fight for our parents. I'll fight for our law enforcement. I will fight for everyone in this room. And we are just getting started, and I'm so incredibly grateful to all of you.
A lot of fight right there. And quite honestly, that's what she's done so far. She's been nothing but fire since getting to Congress. How about a little takeaway from Robert Hogan? LSU political science professor Robert Hogan says that in the end, Fleming just couldn't overcome President Trump's endorsement of Congresswoman Letlow. Cut 12, please.
This election, he played an even larger role than he's played in other elections, in part because I think it was pivotal in her decision to get in the race to begin with.
Oh, it was absolutely pivotal. In fact, she said that. She said that sitting right in that chair to my left. She said that. I said, why did it take you so long to get in the race? And she said, President Trump talked me into it. That's a big deal, y'all. If the president talks you into running. Now, along the way, John Fleming had said at some point along the way, she only got the endorsement because the president didn't know that he was running. And then the president doubled down and then doubled down again with video after video, up to and including a little pep rally, tele-rally on Thursday, leading into the election. In fact, Thursday leading into the election, the same day that the Fleming camp released that they had a poll showing him in the lead by 6 points. So for Julia Letlow, this is a big win on many fronts. Not just the fact that she is moving on to be the Republican nominee this fall, but the fact that she is now a lot more battle tested. And now that she's a lot more battle tested, I don't know if she's going to have to use that battle test again. Because from here on in, provided she can win in November, from here on in, she's going to have the benefit of incumbency behind her. We're going to get to her opponent here in just a quick minute. But I want to stick with Letlow for one more second, and that's to talk about how this thing broke down. Big shout out to everybody who played along on Saturday night with this year's breakdown of elections. We weren't doing in-studio coverage for this particular election because there was literally like one statewide item on the ballot, but a handful of other things that I had my eyes on. So I just hopped on Facebook Live from the house. Hopped on Facebook Live, and it was basically a 90-minute monologue. There was some good interaction with the comment section and whatnot. A couple of members of the glorified crew showed up on a Saturday night as well. But we did about 90 minutes over on Facebook Live. And one of my takeaways during that, as it was going on, was how consistent the numbers were. Obviously, Jamie Davis, they called it for him the moment polls closed, and he ended up taking home 80% of the vote on the Democrat side. But as numbers were coming in on the Republican side, you had a couple of different news outlets. I believe Politico was the first to call it. In fact, I remember Deborah Todd posted, she was one of the ones commenting on Saturday night, posted the Politico's called it. I was like, okay, well, this seems premature to me. Because at the time, the lead wasn't 57-34. I'm sorry. At the time, the lead wasn't 57-43. Got that inverted. It was about 3 points closer than that. I believe at the time that they called it, Letlow had still had 54 or 55%, and there was mathematical room for her to lose ground or for Fleming to make up ground. Now, I look at that differently than most people because I'm a lifelong Mets fan, and you know what it's like to be trailing. So I never want to close the book on the trailing candidate until mathematically it gets to be impossible. But as you broke down the numbers over the night, the parish by parish breakdown, and the Advocate posted a map that Greg Rigamer did that is very, very telling because it shows you just an overwhelming swarm of red with green down the 4th Congressional District, most of the 4th Congressional District, and Orleans Parish. And that was it. I mean, Julia Letlow won the overwhelming majority. Like, of course, she won the overwhelming majority of the state because of winning the overall number, but parish by parish, it was a lot more lopsided than the overall percentages. So we'll pick that back up in just a little bit. Want to move to the other side of the ballot or the other party that's in this race. Main competition is going to be Jamie Davis on November 3rd. He's a farmer out of Tensaw Parish. Now, he easily won the Democratic Party nomination, got 80% of the vote. Davis says his grassroots campaign is just getting started. Cut 14, please.
They're saying I'm not supposed to be here. And I don't fit the mold.
Nobody said that.
But I'll tell you what I am. I am someone who has built something from the ground up.
It would have been a better pun if he would have said grown it from the ground up. He's a farmer. That would have been like really an on-brand sort of thing to do. Davis says Letlow has voted for policies that have made it harder on Louisiana's families. Cut 15, please.
When you vote for laws that raise costs, threaten to close hospitals, and send billions overseas to fight wars that Congress didn't authorize, while telling hardworking Americans they need to pay more for gas and groceries, when you put party before the people, you shouldn't ask for a promotion.
By the way, getting back to Letlow's side, her supporters, they're a little bit fired up about the big win on Saturday night. Cut 16.
I knew she was going to win. This is what we were here for. We know this.
She kept focused, and here we are celebrating this great moment.
We're so excited for her. We know she'll do an amazing job. Next up is the election in November, so we're super excited for her.
Can the Republican Party mend after this? Because the John Fleming supporters were super out in force yesterday, talking about how they're going to flip parties. That's one of the topics we're going to talk about with Scott McKay coming up at 7:35. Right now, though, we're coming up on a quick little break. We'll take that break. We will check traffic. We will check your money now. On the back end of that break, it's time for a little Moral Dilemma Monday with this question. Should there be a minimum age to teach high school? It's next. Debbie wins.
Oh, yeah. Like 3 minutes. Oh my God.
Debbie says, Davis has already annoyed me.
Well, I forgot to tell you during one of your first news segments talking about the election.
Yeah.
Talking about the millages and stuff. Somebody called in and asked me to tell you. Maybe like you should tell Brian next time you get a chance that it's because it looks that way because the people who don't pay property tax are getting paid. So I said I'll pay.
No, I get where his anger comes from, but it had nothing to do with what I was talking about.
It didn't have anything to do with what
I told him that's probably that crazy man.
Yeah. There's a curmudgeon that calls almost every day. He hates me. Yeah, he hates me, but he's tuned in for 3 hours every single day.
He listens, so.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Galen's asking the right question, but I'm going to tell you right now, Galen, if you watched any on Saturday night, how can you for 4 months say Julia Letlow is a rhino? Julia Letlow's no better than a Democrat. How for 4 months can you say Julia Letlow is Mary Landrieu in a different skirt and then cast a vote for her? Isn't that hypocritical? Isn't that completely hypocritical to say Julia Letlow is as bad as voting Julia Letlow is as bad as voting Democrat? If that's been your take for 4 months, how do you put that poop back in the horse? So, and you're right across the board. If you want to hang on to the majority as a party, which by the way, I'm getting so disillusioned by party politics right now. It's like we as voters are here to serve the party and not the other way around. But I don't know, going back to the question, and I'm going to ask this to Scott, is how can you, and I'm not going to ask Moon. Well, I am going to ask Moon because I already know his answer. But you can't say this person's terrible, this person's terrible, this person's terrible. I'm voting for this person. Byron says, if you switch parties because your candidate didn't win, then maybe you should re-examine your core political beliefs. Or maybe you're just a screaming crybaby. I mean, that's also a possibility too. We're getting a growing number of those, aren't we? Hey, kill my mic. I'll talk to Cade. Hey, Garbage Man's here. Because it's not about Julia Letlow's seat, but the Senate leadership being Republican. I've had to hold my nose for most every election since Ronald Reagan. Maybe I'm not saying it right. If you believe that Julia Letlow is not going to vote with the party, then why would you put her in to protect the majority? You don't have a majority at that point. If that's what you believe, it's not what I believe. Her Heritage Action lifetime score is 81%. And it's only 81% because in 2024, there were 6 core issues that she voted opposite on. 2 of those were the same issue. And I think another one was a 1,000-page bill that she voted opposite of the Heritage Foundation, which you can't tell me in a 1,000-page bill that somehow, like, there wouldn't be something in there that would be objectionable. So get into all that with Scott McKay, but you're asking the right questions. Six 52 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. All right, let's push pause on election recap. We'll do that again next hour. Push pause on some of the other news of the day because it is time for Moral Dilemma Monday. Per WAFB, a story out of Atlanta, actually was sent to me by my wife, sent me this story from WAFB, but it comes from Atlanta. A high school teacher in Georgia accused of sexually abusing students was potentially blackmailed by students who discovered her OnlyFans account to get a better grade. 25-year-old Maris Nichols. She's a 25-year-old teacher at Alexander High School. Allegedly, she got down and dirty with a student twice. Now, according to a search warrant, the student then blackmailed her with knowledge of her OnlyFans account to get better grades. Previous arrest warrants said Nichols got down and dirty with that student. Once on April 23rd inside a schoolroom closet, and once on May 2nd inside a car. The new warrants reveal she allegedly, this wasn't the only student that she had relations with. No, she had another student and more inappropriate pictures and videos that were connected to other victims. So this one, obviously, a couple of these kids are, as Van Halen would say, hot for teacher. But I wanted to ask a different question. She's 25 years old.
Yeah, that's
and
young.
She's teaching high schoolers. So here's the overall question. And sound off on Facebook Live. We're live on Facebook every day. Thanks to the folks over at Lake Urgent Care. Here's my question. Should there be a minimum age to teach high school? And here's why I'm asking that question. Yes, she's 25, right? And she's probably close to a decade removed from the ages of those students. But she's not far off from being a lot closer in. Like, let's say you graduate high school at 18. 4 years later, you graduate college at 22, and you get all your teaching certifications. You can be 5 years removed from a high school senior at that point. Now, if a 22-year-old is dating a 17-year-old, nobody cares. That's fine.
Right.
That's just fine. But if you flip that 5-year number around and a 22-year-old is dating a 17-year-old, now you got major legal problems. And I just wonder if there's room to say, like, maybe there should be some distance between. The farther the distance between, the less likely you're going to have a physical sexual relationship between the two. I would assume. I'm not saying this is going to eliminate anything, but one would think that if you've got greater distance between the two, it's less likely to happen, and probably a little bit more maturity on the teacher's end, hopefully. What say you?
Well, and I would say this, maybe you need to start new teachers in elementary school, in middle school, in under closer supervision, knowing, let's say I graduate college
Right.
and I'm like, I want to teach high school. You have to start elementary and middle before you can even, and you're going to have to give it some years before you can get to high school. Maybe that's the route they go.
I don't know. I'm battling with this. That's why I threw it out there. Looking for your take as well.
Yeah.
So,
well, and look at it this way: a bad decision is a bad decision. The person could be 55 years old and still on OnlyFans.
oh no, 100% agree with you on that front. But like,
I don't know if minimum age fixes the issue.
yeah,
I don't know if that's. I think it's more or less not so much an age issue, but a conflict of interest jobs. Meaning when you choose to be a teacher,
yes,
you got to be real careful about what other jobs you hold outside of your teaching position. And you kind of have to
you're
lock
talking
that
about
down.
the OnlyFans side of this?
Yes.
So
and
that should be a no-no from the
contractually-
start. Yeah.
Right.
That one should be a no-no from the start. Yes, and obviously relationships with the students should be a no-go too. But like, I don't know, maybe I'm just looking for a maturity angle here. That like the longer you go, the more you grow out of it. If that makes any sense.
Now, Renee on Facebook, our glorified crew on Facebook, presented by Lake Urgent Care, she says if their major is secondary education, you can't teach elementary. You are not certified.
See,
so that brings a whole nother animal to it.
Okay, but like, why? I mean, what you're teaching in high school, I realize it's a different method of teaching. You're teaching children at a different age, but keep it with that 5-year gap, right? If you were to teach middle school, then if you were to teach like 7th or 8th grade, now you're talking about you have a decent age gap between the two. Maybe not 1st or 2nd grade, but if you're teaching 7th or 8th grade down the middle there somewhere, Renee's right. And I'm wrong. I realize that. I know we said there's no right answers, no wrong answers on this one. I realize that my answer is not the right answer. I'm just trying to walk down a path to say the way the system is set up right now, it is very, very easy for people to go the wrong path.
Or maybe you force the system, Brian. For example, if you want to become a doctor, a neurologist, etc., you would take extra courses, you would go to medical school, etc. And I'm not saying you have to force somebody who wants to teach high school education to take all these extra certifications, but you kind of do. Meaning by the time they're ready to teach high school, they're 30.
Could be. Dwayne, who, by the way, is in the educational field as a teacher, says, teacher question, no, but we need to fire quicker. Understand that, but this girl's only 25. I can't imagine she would have had a built-up resume that would have led to a quicker firing. Dwayne says, there are always signs when we have bad teachers. High school teachers teach content. Elementary teachers teach students. That makes total sense to me as well.
Well, going back to what I just said, Dwayne said high school teachers teach content. Okay, well, there you go. They have to go through extra certifications, which you kind of rid the system. They're 30 years old when they're done.
No, but then you're 30 years old before you're earning a living. And you're probably even more likely to have an OnlyFans at that point.
Right. And we already say teachers don't get paid.
Right. So what
Gosh,
do you do from graduation to 30, right?
Right.
Like I said, I don't think there's a right answer across the board for this one, because people will always run afoul of the rules no matter what.
Yeah.
You can't 100% stop it. I'm just, when I first read this story, my first take was, that's not local news. But my second, it was clickbait. Come on.
Right.
But my second take was, is there a way to, while you can't eliminate the problem, reduce the instances? So keep the conversation going over on Facebook Live. Byron says we had college females interning in my high school. Bro, that's so, to me, that's
Ooh.
setting you up for failure. Setting you up for, man. We got news, traffic, weather. Hour 2 is coming up next right here on Talk 107.3 FM.
hard moral dilemma, Brian.
Thank you. Dwayne makes some good points.
He did.
See, Byron says, we had college females interning in my high school, some very attractive. Nothing bad happened. To the contrary, it made me pay closer attention in class.
Byron.
I mean, I can't help it that like nobody, like the teachers didn't want your nerdy butt. Like that's, no, I'm just kidding, Byron.
You
It's
always have to comment, Brian. My teachers didn't look like that back in the day.
mine did not, by the way. But then again, half my teachers were Christian brothers, so that you already eliminated half the populace right there.
So we can go through college faster. Well, you can be out of college at 21, 22
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
rush.
And like we had
Yeah,
19-year-olds graduating my high school.
because
That-
now they have it to where you could take college credits in high school. That wasn't
That's
a
what I'm
thing back in
saying.
the day.
Like, and an education degree is one of the more simpler ones. It's like an engineering degree is almost always 5 years. But like, if you're ahead of the game and all you want to be is a high school teacher, like you can easily get that college degree done in 2.5 years. If you hustle, they can take hustle in the summer.
Let's
Come
not
in with extra
say-
credit. Like people can
Yeah.
finish that at 8. You can graduate high school at 17. You can be teaching high school by 21, 22.
And if
And
you
like a high
push
school for
yourself,
19-year-olds in the high school.
it takes, what is it? What's the most, 21 credits a semester? Like really pushing yourself. Like you can finish real
Yeah,
fast.
and you could do stuff over the summer if you want, like if you're in a hurry,
Yeah.
if you feel like that, like it could happen.
I wouldn't try to. I think I'll.
Wolf says teachers have to student teach during college. Yeah, but they don't have that authority position and they have someone looking over their shoulder that whole time. Like they're acclimated to the job that's coming, but not the other temptations.
So do they student teach, Brian, for the next 5 years if they know they want to teach high school?
I don't
But
think so.
You're not getting a paycheck though. That brings me to your point.
Renee comes back in again and says, while I was in college, I was a teacher aide for math 100 freshmen, mostly athletes. It was no problem. You just have to be mature and separate yourself from them. Thank you. Okay. So like I said, I don't think it's necessarily an age thing as much as it's a maturity thing. But age and maturity,
Remember how I told you you don't have your finger on the trigger? So ABC News is done now and they hired their spy. So now we're in a total different ABC report. You were supposed to have your finger on the mouse instead of the trigger. All right, now hit it. Yeah. All right, stop. Go. So remember what I told you? So ABC News, it will always have ads. You have to be ready to go at 03. So maybe you want to write that down.
I thought I was waiting on that 706.
No, we'll be way off. No. So maybe you want to put hard in at 703. After they say this is ABC News, and then they have an ad. As soon as that 1 minute ad plays, you need to be ready to go.
Okay, so now I just go. Do this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
7:05. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. Wilton Landry producing. We're starting off your 7 o'clock hour at 78 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. We broadcast live from the 180 Pros studio. Is it time for your IT to do a 180? Visit 180pros.com. Medical Monday coming up 10 minutes from right now. Scott McKay from the Hayride going to hop on board at 7:35. Looking forward to breaking down some post-election analysis, if you will, with Scott. There's plenty up at the Hayride right now if you wanted to check it out. Scott and his crew were all over the election on Saturday. Not just that Senate race. There's actually 2 other races we haven't talked about yet, and we might get to before the show is over with. But we'll break it down with Scott coming up at 7:35. Right now, top stories and trending. The stage is set. It's Julia Letlow versus Jamie Davis on the November general election. Of course, they won't be the only 2 candidates on the ballot. This is where all the third-party candidates get to sign up and come into play as well. This has been, up till now, closed party primaries only. November will be the general election. All 3 proposed millages in East Baton Rouge passed comfortably. The library, the Council on Aging, and BREC all have been re-upped for another decade. We've got a disturbance out in the Atlantic. Probably going to be nothing as it stands right now. The National Hurricane Center is telling us it's got a 10% chance of formation into a named storm. It's a series of disorganized showers and thunderstorms near the coast of North Carolina. While the percentage is low, we do like to keep you up to speed on everything going on throughout hurricane season. A Saturday night shooting at a McDonald's on Perkins near Bluebonnet left 1 man injured, according to the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office. Happened around 11:45 p.m. The victim was shot in the leg, taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. That's not the only shooting over the weekend, though. The other 2 did, however, result in fatalities. A 49-year-old man was killed, 4 others injured when a fight among teenagers escalated to gunfire Saturday afternoon. BRPD said Randall Holmes and 4 other people were shot around 3:30 p.m. near the intersection of Osceola and Calumet Streets. Police say an argument between teenagers led to a fight, and from there, well, Baton Rouge is going to Baton Rouge. Meanwhile, Sunday evening, a man was killed in a shooting off Bluegrass Drive. What you got, Wilton?
Got a couple trending stories for you today. First up, the U.S. Supreme Court is apparently set to release another round of rulings. So you can get ready for decisions on everything from birthright, citizenship, to transgender athletes competing in women's sports.
A couple of those I have my eyes on. Oh, by the way, it was the other one, because I want to say there was a third. I might be wrong with this. I want to say there was a third. States banning transgender athletes from women's sports. Limits on the president's power. But yeah, I'll be looking for those all week long. There's a part of me wishes the Supreme Court would do it all at once. Like, they do their, they hear all their arguments, they do all their arguing back and forth, and make everything nice and neat, and then start releasing things one at a time, or 3 or 4 at a time. And there's a part of me that wishes they did it all at once. The other part of me is like glad we get to break them down, each one. Otherwise a lot would get lost in the shuffle.
Also, keeping our eye on Venezuela. The earthquakes last week, very devastating. The death toll officially reported right now at 1,500. What might actually be more concerning right now is that there's still over 50,000 people missing or unaccounted for.
That's an incredible number. I mean, that is a huge number to have that many people missing still, and you heard stories, like individual stories over the weekend about rescues being made. Days after the earthquake, rescues being made. And the rescue efforts do continue, although we're probably pretty close to that changing to recovery efforts, but 50,000 people missing this far removed, man, I don't even want to speculate on it, but it's just that many people this far removed. That's going to be either we're going to find huge chunks of people gathered together and the like huge chunks of survivors somewhere. But I mean, when we're talking days on end since this happened. So was it Thursday or Wednesday? I'm trying to remember.
I think we reported on Thursday, but it happened on.
I think you're right. I do. I think it was a Wednesday night thing yeah, that sounds right. Anyway, yeah, it's just I can't help but think this is going to that number is going to escalate greatly.
Yeah. As you know, we're from an area that frequently we have to deal with a lot of natural disasters. So our hearts and minds are definitely with the people of Venezuela.
Yeah, big time.
It's going to be a long road to recovery for them. Moving along to something a little bit more positive. If you guys are paying attention to your rock and roll news, Journey played the Cajun Dome in Lafayette last night. And if you want to see some pictures from that, Scotty Mack was there with Eagle 98.1. And we got a lot of our fans to send in some of their pictures from the event as well. So if you want to check that out, be sure to head over to the Eagle 98.1 Facebook page and check out the photos if you missed it. Or if you want to add yours, we'd be happy to see them.
Over on our Facebook Live, what's your favorite Journey song? That's an easy poll question for Monday. What's your favorite Journey song?
I'm going Separate Ways.
Separate Ways. See, the thing, same, but you tell me Separate Ways, and I'm not going to think of Journey. I'm going to think of a cover band playing Separate Ways. Because, look, shout out Molly Ringwalds. They play Separate Ways with the video board behind them, and just I don't know. That's where that trigger goes. And the same way that, like, if you mention Don't Stop Believing, I'm not going to think of Journey. I'm going to think of the final episode of The Sopranos, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. But those, hey, play the hits, babe. That's what they are. So gotta love that. Rocco sounds off with Don't Stop Believing. Of course. By the way, go get the Greco-Roman over at Rocco's all week long. We had it on Friday, and it was beyond compare. It is 7:12 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, top stories and trending, brought to you by the Baton Rouge Metro Airport every morning. FlyBTR.com is their website. If you're mapping out your plans for this football season, want to travel to see the Tigers, if you're going to Knoxville, if you're going to Lexington, going to see them take on Tennessee or Kentucky, Delta has built out direct flights to and from just for that weekend. They'll fly out on Friday, come home on Sunday, get to enjoy the Tigers whooping some volunteer butt or some Wildcat butt in the middle, and then come back home again. Conversely, if you're bringing friends in from Clemson, Alabama, or Texas, same deal. Flights coming in from those locations back to those locations. They'll fly directly into the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. You don't have to haul an hour down the road. You don't have to deal with the parking issues down there or the TSA issues down there. You're flying into and out of your own backyard, which, by the way, means you're supporting a great local business who does great every single day, not just for LSU football season. Don't forget about the daily flight to our nation's capital. Reagan Airport is where the direct flight to DC goes. In fact, that should have taken off about 13 minutes ago. Yep. It is up in the air, literally in the air as we speak, as are the flights to Charlotte and Atlanta. Dallas has already arrived, as has Houston. So things are running on schedule this morning at flybtr.com. Medical Monday's next. Which you don't even come to me. You just hit it out of Adobe.
I can't find which one.
Medical Monday.
I know, but like
Did-
there was none for today.
I would have liked to have known this a while ago. Play a bumper when they come out of this.
Yeah. So what you're gonna do in this, instead of firing off Medical Monday, which is something we would do right out of the break, we're gonna bump. So in that bump,
Which one?
right there.
That?
Yeah, not yet. Not yet.
Just like
So what you would normally do is he would have mixed it down for you already, is what he's saying. So you would just cue it out of Adobe instead of hitting a bumper. We would just go straight into Medical Monday.
I don't know what to do here. Nope.
And now when it fades out, just hit that button again. Well,
Here you go.
I'll do that.
These are things I need to know before the show starts.
It's time for your weekly checkup. This is Medical Monday, presented by Our Lady of the Lake Health.
It is time for Medical Monday. It is also a holiday week, 4th of July celebrations right around the corner. A lot of families preparing for fireworks, preparing for cookouts, a little pool time, getting outside basically. Now, this can be a lot of fun, but it can also bring an increased risk of injuries. Today, we're joined by Dr. Kristen Poniff, a pediatric emergency medicine physician with FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake Children's Health, to talk about how families can stay safe during the 4th of July holiday. Dr. Poniff, welcome aboard. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you so much for having me.
Glad to have you on here. Let's start with what's most common out there as we head into the 4th of July holiday. What are some of the more common injuries you see in children around this time of year?
Yeah, around this time of year, traumatic injuries tend to increase a little bit because we're all outside playing more, enjoying the sunshine, having fun. And so trauma in specific tends to be a little bit on the higher end of what we see.
Covers a lot of ground. Define what that is.
So any kind of injury that results from an activity or motion, something like falling off of a bicycle, monkey bars injuries, ATV injuries, accidents related to bodies under motion, if you will.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. Just a lot of the course of the everyday thing, when you either fall, trip, whatever, get jammed up a little bit. I could see that. My mind was going to fireworks first because it's 4th of July. So let's talk about that as a major part of most of the celebrations a lot of the celebrations out there. What types of fireworks related injuries are most concerning for children?
Yeah, so that's a great question. A lot of times we have the way I think about fireworks is we have little hands and little eyes that are coming close to something that's hot. And so oftentimes when we're not pointing things in the direction that we should, or we have something that's so hot in the hands of someone so small, oftentimes they can self-injure. And so hands and eyes are what really kind of come to mind for me.
We're talking with Dr. Kristen Poniff from FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake Children's Health. Dr. Poniff, when keeping with those fireworks for just a little bit, you mentioned the little hands and the little eyes. Is there room for safety here, or is there just a blanket, like let the grown-ups handle it?
Yeah, so I think that there are let the grown-ups handle it rules and also some fun substitutions, right? So instead of a sparkler, we can use a glow stick. Mom and dad kind of handling the fireworks, making sure that we're standing far away so we can still enjoy the spectacle, but at the same time remain safe.
You mentioned the glow stick instead of the sparkler. Are there some things out there that most people think are safer than others? Because I know sparklers is one that when I learned about, I was like really kind of taken aback.
Yeah, I think that sparklers tend to be the higher kind of one that we think about that people think are more safe, but they still heat up to, almost 1200 Fahrenheit. And that's a third of injuries that we see in kids. And so even though they look smaller, they have a smaller flame, they don't make as much noise, they're still relatively dangerous.
Yeah, they actually burn hotter than bottle rockets. I had no idea that until just a few years ago. We're talking with Dr. Kristen Pontiff from FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake Children's Health, a little bit about 4th of July safety as we the holiday week is upon us. So let's talk about, you mentioned a little bit of it, like let the parents handle it, keep a safe distance. Walk us through a few of the other hot items, no pun intended. Walk us through a few of the other items when practicing fireworks safety at the house.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that, obviously, we want to obey all local laws when it comes to firework usage, storing them in a cool, dry place, making sure that they're not thrown or pointed at anyone, not standing over a firework when it doesn't go off, because oftentimes they can relight and become dangerous. Right. And so waiting some time and then soaking it in a nearby bucket of water to, cease that potential for relighting.
So let's walk down kind of the worst case scenario path here. If a child is burned by a firework, or for that matter, if they're, get too close to the grill and get burned, what should parents do right away? And when should they know to go to the ER?
Absolutely. And so there are different types of burns ranging from mild to severe in severity. And so when we are triaging and looking at burns, the first thing to do is obviously visualize the burn. If you're seeing blistering, if you're seeing, obviously your child's going to be in pain at that point, having it covered up, because air hitting the burn is what's causing that kind of pain. And so having a Band-Aid or something that's, got something moist on it and covering it is first steps. And then if you're not sure about how this needs to be treated and it's something more than like a quick burn on the stove, you guys come and see us in the ER and we'll help you manage that. More concerning findings with regard to treatment of burns would be things like someone who's not having any pain. Sometimes depth of burn decreases your ability to feel pain. And so that would be more concerning for me.
Wow. I didn't even think about that on that end. When you're talking about the fireworks, you're talking about the grill, but 4th of July means there might be a much slower burn throughout the day. Can sunburns get you to the point where you need to go see the doctor or go to the ER?
Absolutely. So our ambient temperatures here are, don't feel like they're very warm, 70, 80, 90. But when you start to take into account the heat index, we are approaching days that are over 106 consistently. And so in order for us to stay safe during the heat waves, there's a couple of things that we need to take into consideration. Obviously, making sure that the smaller children are adequately hydrated and not outside for too long, because they can get dehydrated faster. Everybody can get more irritable in the heat, and that's usually the first sign of a heat-related injury. Though non-specific, can give you a lot of information about how the heat is being handled by your child. So please pay attention to that. And then obviously planning ahead. If you know there are going to be several days of high heat and coming up, make sure that we are getting in and out of doors as much as possible.
We are talking with Dr. Kristen Pontiff from FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake Children's Health. It is the height of the summertime. It is a holiday week as well, so we're trying to practice a little safety therein. I want to go back to that dehydrated thing, because like I'm big with my kids on the hydration. And I know full well that hydration is not a one and done thing. You don't just drink a whole bunch of water when you get thirsty. At that point, it's actually already too late. But if hydration takes a process to get you to the point where you need to be, working through it on the back end, what does that look like to rehydrate someone when they get to the point where they need to come see you?
Absolutely. So there's, again, varying degrees of what that looks like. Sometimes it's just, some nausea medicine and oral rehydration measures. Sometimes it constitutes having an IV with a bag of fluid. Sometimes it requires admission to the hospital for hydration over several days. It depends on kind of multiple factors. Again, the size of the child, the length of exposure, and kind of some other underlying medical history that usually kind of come together and formulate how that's going to go.
And I know one of the bigger misconceptions out there, one of the things that I shouldn't say misconceptions, one of the things that gets often forgotten is just because you're in water doesn't mean you don't need water. If you're in the pool all day long, that's still that water's on the outside of you. If you're heading down to the Gulf Coast, that water's hopefully on the outside of you. It is not a replacement for what you take in.
That's absolutely true. And so keeping hydrated, we have to get creative with that because most kids who are in the water don't want to get out of the water. So things like popsicles, pool treats, drinks, lots of fruit. There's water and fruit that helps us stay hydrated. And those are things that children often love to engage and eat. So making sure that we're rotating in things that have a higher kind of water content in order for them to stay hydrated.
My kids will crush a watermelon, and it's got water right there in the name. So
Yeah.
we know that's working in the right direction. Give me some of the off the radar safety items that you might be thinking about that others might not, maybe through experience from kids that have had to come see you, or the items that aren't going to be top priority for the parents until they start to think about it.
Yeah, one of the things that I feel like is most high on the list is making sure you're checking on what is in your car. The interior heat of a car goes astronomically high during the summer. It's, melting batteries in cars. So if you leave children, animal, whatever in the back of your car, there's a high risk for injury. And so please check your car before you get out. Make sure that you're not leaving your child alone in the car, even if it's on, because it can overheat in just a very, very short amount of time. And even if you leave your car on with the air conditioner running, who's to say your kid's not going to get out of their seat and shut it off? So make sure that your kids are with you. Make sure they're not alone in a car. Same for your animals.
Last one before we get you out of here, and that's, what is your biggest safety message for families to help stay safe this 4th of July?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say keep an eye on your kids, stay safe, stay cool in every measure of the way, practice fireworks safety, rehydrate, push the popsicles, and have a great time.
She is Dr. Kristen Pontiff with FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake Children's Health. Thank you so much for a couple of minutes this morning. Have yourself a great 4th.
Thank you. You too.
Always appreciate the folks over at Our Lady of the Lake and that teamwork, bringing you Medical Monday every single Monday. And yeah, I know I rolled my eyes too. As soon as she said glow stick instead of fireworks, she's got to pitch the safety. But who doesn't love the fireworks, right? I mean, seriously, who doesn't love playing with fireworks? Raise your hook hand if you don't love playing with fireworks. I got sent our friend Daryl Orso sent a little meme over that said, let me read it directly. It says, for someone somewhere in America, this will be the last week that they've got 10 fingers. And he's right. So Medical Monday, of course, coming your way every single Monday, courtesy of the folks over at Our Lady of the Lake, Franciscan Missionaries, FMOL Health, and Our Lady of the Lake, bringing you Medical Monday every week. Scott McKay is going to talk election coverage coming up in about 6 minutes from right now. Scott McKay, of course, founder and editor of the Hayride. Hayride.com is where you'll find his work. Before we get you to Scott, though, or before we get you to news at the bottom of the hour, I should say, let me remind you about Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com is the website. LandmarkBankLA.com. Been a community bank since 1897. That's a long time. That is a long time to have the same mission, to not divert from said mission. And they've grown over time into a few newer communities, and they'll continue to grow into newer communities. But they remain true to that mission of being a community bank, making sure you don't just have a bank, you have a banker. You have someone who can sit down with you and map out your future. Whether you're talking about borrowing, whether you're talking about saving, investing long-term, if it's time to buy your first home, if it's time to scale down and move into something either your forever home or downsizing, they'll help you every step along the way. Someone who is with you through the process, someone who is with you. You're not just a line item on a P&L sheet in Midtown Manhattan. Learn more about locations, learn more about what they could do, learn more about fintech, learn more about all of it at landmarkbankla.com. Here comes news. I am actually. It's weird. I'm not bummed to be able to take the interstate again to get to work, because it's the difference between a 13-minute drive and a 20-minute drive. So, because I take Goodwood up to government on in. And when I'm in the Mercedes, it's a sedan, so it sits real low. And the only thing on the interstate at that time is 18 wheelers or Ford F-250s. So it's I'm tiny, and all I can see is headlights bearing down on me. I will say this though, I was doing 75 on the interstate this morning, and people were passing me like I wasn't even there.
So the Grand Highlander that I'm in now, it sits higher than my regular Highlander. So it's weird for me. I'm still getting used to sitting higher.
Yeah.
When I mean higher, barely, but it's different. Well, I am so happy. What year was your Mercedes?
07.
That's a good run. That's a long run.
Well, I bought it for $3,500 3 years ago, and I got 2,000 in trade. So minus everything I paid in repairs over that time, which I had to fix a lot, but we did good on this one. Yeah. Well, he already got the number.
Hey there, it's Talk 107.3. This is Mr. Scott McKay. All right, we're on a break right now. We'll put you on at about 7:37 or so. All right, yeah, let's drop. I'll throw you on hold real quick.
No, because you got to drop them back on hold.
And then it will.
So before you put down the receiver, you have to drop them on hold. He'll call back. You wait.
No, he won't. You call him again. Yes.
Now a check on your drive from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center.
We are seeing a couple of areas of minor backup on both I-10 and I-12, but really nothing that's going to hold you up very long. You continue to
Hey, sorry about that. Hit the wrong button.
Yeah. Now you can hang up the receiver. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not going to hold on its own, if that makes sense.
This is my first time using that phone.
That's okay. Okay, so we have a phone caller. What I told you when we have a phone caller.
Gotta put it in offline.
Yeah. And then you got to. And I'll just turn the phone on.
But Brian picks up.
We're celebrating the protein-packed, nutrient-rich beef in every way imaginable. If you want to get it on the fun, visit beefiswhatsfortdinner.com for tips and recipes, and tune in every Friday at 8:30 to hear how Battery's best restaurants bring out all the flavor on Foodie Friday, presented by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council.
Get your boat in at Front to Back Boat Service. Don't miss out on manufacturer rebates on everything from standard trolley motors to top-tier spot lock systems, plus all major GPS and sonar brands, shallow water anchors, batteries, and of course stereos, because you gotta have good sound on the water this summer. For 39 years, you trusted Front to Back's certified marine installers for all your electrical repairs and upgrades. Get ready now at front2backboatservice.com. Front2backboatservice.com.
Talk 107.3 weather.
Sunny skies to start your Monday, then clouds will mix in this afternoon. Temperatures will hit the mid-90s, but feel more like 105 with the heat index. Overnight, fair skies are expected, lows to mid-70s. Tuesday will be hot and humid with a few afternoon storms to elevate highs to mid-90s. Wednesdays, highs will be in the low 90s. Thursdays, highs should be near 92. I'm meteorologist Dave Baker. Storm Station Forecast WUOC.
Election coverage is more than reporting results. It's about doing the work before, during, and after the vote. In 2026, Talk 107.3 did it again, winning their 6th LAB Prestige Award for the best election coverage. Trusted, proven, award-winning, local. Talk 107.3.
.736 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 2 rolling right along. We had an election on Saturday. I feel like I have to repeat that because where turnout was drop off of over 20% from the May closed primary to the runoff for the closed primary. Joining us now to break down the election, we got Scott McKay from the Hayride. How are you, brother?
Good morning, Brian. Happy Monday.
Yes, happy Monday to you as well. Any surprises on Saturday?
Well, the PSC race in suburban New Orleans was a little bit of a surprise.
Because of the winner or because of the gap?
Both.
Yeah.
I mean, John Young was at 45 or 46 or 47 in the primary, and he ended up at 38. Which, just that's what happens when you don't turn out your vote, I guess. Right. But it's hard to understand that district going from Eric Skrmetta to Stephanie Hilferty. So that one to me was a surprise. What happened in the big race between Julia Letlow and John Fleming was not a surprise.
Why wasn't it a surprise? Because, I mean, on Thursday, Fleming's camp put out a poll that said he was 6 points up.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, she beat him by 17 in the primary.
Yes.
And she beat him by, 16 in the runoff?
So 57, 40, 14. 14 in the runoff.
14. Sorry, 14.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of pretty much held to form. I mean, you can do polls all you want.
Right.
She had one where she was beating him 52-37, and I think that was the last Letlow poll that went public. But the poll that matters is the one where people show up and pull levers at a polling booth. What happened Saturday was pretty much the same thing that happened the first go round. So it really wasn't a surprise. That campaign on both sides was sort of a funhouse mirror type of thing. And so it was, I
like where that's going. Elaborate on that.
Well, Fleming's camp will have you believe that Julia Letlow is a communist.
Correct.
Letlow's camp will have you believe that Fleming was literally driving buses full of illegal aliens across the border. And the discussion of carbon capture in that campaign was nothing short of completely bizarre. And I mean, I'm somebody who thinks carbon capture is a colossal waste of money as to the federal government giving tax breaks. So I'm on board with most of what Fleming says, but the way this thing was sold, and Joe Cunningham had a great piece that we had at the Hayride over the weekend after the election talking about carbon capture and the utility of using that as the centerpiece of a Senate campaign. And he was spot on. He's like, this is a state issue. This is something that you run on when you're running for the legislature.
Correct.
Not for the U.S. Senate.
Correct.
And people who, particularly like the hardcore Fleming people, would just, I don't know, this is the biggest issue and it involves property rights and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, they would not believe lots of us when we said, look, this is not an issue that's going to motivate voters.
Mm-hmm.
It just isn't. because if you don't live in like Vernon Parish or around Lake Maurepas or something, it doesn't affect you and you're not going to care. What you will care about is the border, gas prices, like all of these things that they're actually talking about on the national news. And if you're going to run for the Senate, you need to have relevant things to say about those. And there wasn't a whole lot of that in this campaign. And so it's not a big surprise that the turnout was pretty low.
So a couple of things unpack from that. And first of all, she won every parish around Lake Maurepas. Now
Yeah.
Vernon, you had a whole stretch of 13 parishes down the western side of Louisiana that went Fleming. And the rest of the map was all that low.
Constituents. Most of those were his constituents when he was a member of Congress. So it's
Yes.
not a surprise.
No,
it's just that they're not very heavily populated parishes.
Correct. Which I think he keeping on that carbon capture thing. I've been saying it from the start. That's a state issue. It's not a federal election issue, to which I was repeatedly told in no short order. Nuh-uh.
Well, I mean, look, there is federal policy surrounding the carbon capture piece. Don't get me wrong. It's just primarily this is something that the Louisiana legislature has been tackling for the last 2 or 3 years. And so the perception of it, I'm talking about trying to win an election here. I'm not talking about the policy piece of it. It's not an issue. Like you're going to go to like Metairie, right? Or Prairieville or someplace where elections really are going to be decided in Louisiana.
Right.
And you start talking about carbon capture and you're going to get blank stares. They have no idea what any of that stuff is.
Right.
And the people who like kind of do care are going to be like, well, wait, is this going to chase more oil companies out of Louisiana? And now you're explaining, which means you're losing.
Which is one of my favorite phrases in politics. If you're explaining, you're losing. It's 100% right.
Yeah. And so I never could understand. Well, and then the other thing was the way this whole thing was presented. Like there are people who are big time opponents of carbon capture, particularly in the Louisiana legislature, who, have fought the good fight for, property rights and all that kind of stuff and have actually passed, some bills that I think have moved the thing forward from the standpoint of defending against the abuses of this. The problem is, like, these were all Louisiana Freedom Caucus members, okay? And Blake Miguez was originally in the race, and so Fleming's people were trying to put him forward as the carbon capture opponent rather than Miguez, and so they attacked all the members of the Freedom Caucus. And those guys never got behind Fleming because of the fact that they got attacked as like Johnny come latelys on carbon capture. And they were like, well, wait a minute. John Fleming is the Johnny come lately on carbon capture. And so from the standpoint of, again, trying to win elections, it's like, well, wait a minute. You just fractured the coalition that would help you on this issue. Like the people who have actual credibility on it because they passed bills in the legislature who might actually jump, onto your team, like they're not with you because you irritated all of them so much because you just assumed they were going to be for Miguez. And then Miguez isn't in the race and you can't capture him. I mean, the whole thing it was one thing after another on that. And it was like, okay, I don't think that you're going to do that well in this election because you haven't done a good job at the block and tackle. And the other thing is it's a grassroots campaign.
Yeah.
And yet, I could be wrong about this. Like, I didn't have my door knocked on. I mean, like, I didn't see much in the way of actual grassroots organizing at the street level to get the vote out, which in a low turnout race like this actually is mother's milk for you. And yet, I mean, I saw lots and lots and lots of trolling on Facebook, but Facebook is not real life. And you just found that out.
Yeah. Oh no, we got a serious reminder of that. And by the way, when you start going parish by parish, EBR is a great example. EBR could have flipped with a ground game. Like the numbers were close enough in EBR to do that. And if you could do that parish by parish which he didn't have that kind of mobility. He didn't have those kinds of numbers.
Well, I mean, and the thing is this was a turnout race.
Right.
Like when turnout is really low, you can win races you're not supposed to win by getting your vote out.
Right.
And I mean, I don't want to trash Letlow. She's the nominee or whatever, but like Julia Letlow does not make a compelling case to be a U.S. senator.
Oh, so now, why not?
This is relevant. This is relative because when you put Julia Letlow against Jamie Davis, the case is super compelling. Okay, but like this is not like her campaign never did really catch fire from the standpoint of having all these people super excited about putting Julia Letlow in the Senate. That's not what this really is.
So
the turnout reflects that.
Yeah, the turnout does, but with the turnout also, there's a second part of that turnout that we're looking at a brand new way of doing things this year. We're first timers when it comes to the closed party primary. And then, oh, by the way, we decided to punt on those primaries for a full month to where a lot of people were on vacation for that second round of those primaries. That played into the turnout as well. But I'm curious about the reputation of Julia Letlow, because lifetime, she's got an 81% from the Heritage Foundation when it comes to conservative voting record. She had one really, really off year in 2024 where she ran afoul of the Heritage Foundation on 6 different issues out of 17 that they had pegged. And 2 of those issues were 1,000+ page bills where you can get lost in the wash. I want to know how, and you mentioned it earlier about, if you ask the Fleming campaign, Letlow's a full-on communist. I want to know how, like, a score of 81 to me is solid, especially in a state like Louisiana, where when you have multi-issue bills, we're not going to be in line with the rest of the nation on a regular basis. So how does she end up getting this reputation of quote-unquote rhino?
Well, I mean, there's that video where she's trying to get the president job at UL Monroe.
Yeah.
And she's talking about how, we need a DEI department. And like,
which got to take that context from when.
I know. And let me, in case people don't understand this, the negative judgment you make on Julia Letlow from that video is not that she is a DEI communist.
Right.
It is that she's a careerist. And she's applying for the job as president of the University of Louisiana at Monroe while John Bel Edwards is governor and is forcing DEI down everybody's throat. Okay? Like she's reciting a catechism. She's not making a personal value judgment in that video. But that is its own indictment. Okay? That's like, okay, so this is somebody who is, there's the famous scene in Ghostbusters where, Ernie Hudson is asked, do you believe in the Loch Ness Monster? And he says, let me stop you right here. If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say.
Yes.
That's what that was. Okay. And that's not like, it doesn't make you Mike Lee or Eric Schmidt running for the U.S. Senate when you have that on video. What it does mean is when the party says, hey, we're all voting, for this particular position, she's going to be with the party, right? That's what that means.
No, 100%. Scott, can I get a couple more minutes out of you? We're coming up on a hard break here.
Sure.
Because we've got another question to answer, and that is about mending fences and flipping Fleming votes back to Letlow. We'll drop you back on hold real quick. Scott McKay from the Hayride's on with us. Do need to remind you about 180 Pros. 180pros.com is the website. If it is time for your IT to do a 180, if you want an IT partner, not an IT provider, if you want someone who is here locally that will base their success off of your success, visit 180pros.com. Get the latest in cybersecurity technology, get the latest in enforcement, get the latest in keeping your network afloat at 180pros.com. No, he's on hold.
What I'm saying is you can leave that mic hot because it would Brian would have to literally cue him. So I wouldn't.
Plus what feeds back to him over the phone isn't going to be the right thing anyway, so it's just best to leave him on hold during the break.
When he's on hold, you can't hear the show at all?
Yes, he should be able to hear what he should be hearing is what's on the air right now, I believe. Oh.
We need to have elevator music for
No, that's how I think it should be. That they give you the shot, so they know like to start
when we're coming back, right? Nope, you can get rid of that one. You can get rid of that cut. No, because I got Scott on with me. I would rather hear from him than the. Yeah. It's yeah. I'm sorry. I'm blowing out that next segment to keep Scott on because it's a big question to ask or a big part of the conversation for the next 4 months. The Hayride.com. Yeah. He writes for a million different outlets, but his home base is the Hayride. Or at least I should say this is where everybody knows him from. Yeah.
My babies are babies anymore.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
How old are your kids?
So my twins are 7, Colston's 9. He's going to be 10 next summer. And Brian, his little boy, is a year ahead of Colston. Am I correct?
I'm sorry.
Your little boy is a year ahead of Colston.
Oh yeah, James is yeah.
Okay.
My kids are 10, 14, and 18.
Yeah, my twins are 7. And Colston's 9. And Colston thinks he's taking over the world, the man.
Now a check on your drive from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center. This report comes to you from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center. Brandon Oliver, your color, pick your style. LeafWindows.com.
Seven 7:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We got Scott McKay on with us for exactly 4 more minutes. I appreciate you holding through, Scott, because the part of the conversation we need to get to is how do you get the Fleming camp to turn towards November after saying for 4 months that she's a communist, after saying for 4 months she's Mary Landrieu in a different skirt, after saying for 4 months that if it's not John Fleming, then I don't want to play. And by the way, the reaction, you saw plenty of it too. The reaction on Facebook yesterday, the vitriol on Facebook yesterday saying I'm going to take my ball and go home Like how over the next 4 months, is that going to be enough time to rebuild fences and mend butt hurt?
Well, and I'm glad that you said the word butthurt, so I didn't have to. Look, 4 months is an utter eternity in politics. None of these people know Jamie Davis.
Right.
I mean, Jamie Davis is Kamala Harris in a pair of overalls. So if you're a John Fleming voter, no, Jamie Davis is not your cup of tea.
Nope. But
and the one thing that I would say is, as contentious and rotten as this past little cycle was, I mean, Letlow still got 26,000 more votes than Davis did. It's not like she's starting from, a bad position from vis-a-vis Davis.
Right.
I don't think you're gonna, get somebody popping out a poll that says that Jamie Davis is beating Julia Letlow by 3 points. You're not going to get any of that. If you do, it's utterly, non-credible. So she's going to win the election. She's going to win it at least 60-40. The Democrats are not going to spend the kind of money in Louisiana that it would take to carry Jamie Davis past Julia Letlow. And if they do, the Republicans will match that spending. So, none of that is much of an issue. The thing that's preferable about the closed party primary system with a primary and a runoff, and people may not realize this because nobody seems very happy about how this race turned out, but you do get this cooling off period between the selection of nominees and the actual election. And that is the major thing that's better because, you were 4 weeks out and you were early voting within 10 days after the primary.
Right. Well, we screwed it up though, Scott, by pushing elections back by a month, because when we pushed elections back by a month, we did two things. And I look, as I was an economics major, I love the law of unintended consequences. We did two things. Number one, we shorted the time to heal by a month. But number two, we extended the time to hate on the front end by a month as well. There was a longer time to throw mud and dookie at each other.
Well, no, that's certainly true. The one thing what's the relative position here is, you used to have your elections in October and then your primaries in October and your general in November. So, to go from 4 weeks to 4 months is still a massive sea change, and you will get much more objective voting, if that's a way to describe this, than you used to have. I mean, I remember the David Vitter, Scott Angel, Jay Darden, John Bell Edwards election in 2015 was the perfect. I mean,
but we all want to use that as if that's going to be the template forever, and it's just I don't know.
No, it's not.
That was the blip on the radar. That was the exception, not the rule. So
but the Ralph Abraham, Eddie Risponi, John Bell Edwards thing was pretty similar too.
Well, that was about as garbage a stack of candidates. And it was good men, poorly run race, to be sure.
No, I'm with you, but it's just structurally it's so different this time.
I understand. We got to get, not the last time we're talking about this. This could be the topic of conversation for 4 months. He's Scott McKay. Always appreciate the time.
See you, Brian. Have a good one.
You too. We're not done with this conversation either. We'll talk about it with Moon in our next hour, which is coming up soon. All right, let me go grab BREC stuff off the printer. only problem with Scott is I can't get through a conversation with him in half an hour. When he and I start going at it, like we should do a podcast together, and we would end up having like, I think he does a different podcast now, but when he and I used to do a podcast together, you couldn't get an episode that was shorter than 90 minutes.
It's just these top of the hours where like in the mouths, it's like.
But I was supposed to run that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I'm talking about last hour, like after the ad ran out. Yeah. That means the June job report will be released Thursday morning. Early estimates point to a modest slowdown from May with 113,000 jobs added. The unemployment rate expected to hold steady at 4.3%. And bargain hunters were clicking online in a big way. Online spending across all retailers hit $26.4 billion during Amazon's Prime Day sale, according to a deal topping expectations. The 4-day event ended Friday with Walmart and Target boosting overlapping promotions. 40,000 Bloomberg Radio.
Now a check on your drive from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center.
We are seeing some backup from a crash on inbound Florida Boulevard in Sherwood Forest. You have road blockage there, and a pretty good little delay has begun on the westbound side of Florida. No major problems if you're traveling either on 10 or on 12. Both of those roadway segments remain in good shape with just minimal slowing to begin with. We've got a stalled vehicle at Cedar Highway in Chattanooga. I'm Ray Romero.
This report is sponsored by Dell Technologies.
Back to school starts now. Get a long-lasting battery life from the Dell XPS laptop powered by Series 3 Intel Core, so you can work from anywhere. Now from $699 with exclusive student pricing from $599. Shop now at Dell.com/deals. This report comes to you from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center.
At Unique Aesthetics and Wellness, Botox, Seal, and Dysport, always $8 a unit at myuniqueaesthetics.com.
Talk 107.3 Weather.
Sunny skies to start your Monday, then clouds will mix in this afternoon. Temperatures will hit the mid-90s, but feel more like 105 in the heat index. Overnight, bigger skies are expected, lows to mid-70s. Tuesday will be hot, even with a few afternoon storms developing, highs to mid-90s. Showers and thunderstorms will be a bit more likely through the midweek. Few heavy downpours are possible. Wednesday's highs will be in the low 90s. Thursday's highs should be near 92. I'm meteorologist Dave Nick. Storm Station Forecast WBRC Channel 2.
We're not done yet. More news, more newsmakers, and more of it. Hour 3 of Mornings with Brian Haldane.
He's rocking the foot, put this hashtag with a lot of energy, and I really want that.
Starts now.
.806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. Wilton Landry producing. We got a busy third hour this hour, y'all. The BREC Room coming up at 8:35. Looking forward to sitting down with Janet Simmons and Maurice Velasquez. Going to talk a little bit about the post-election, because BREC was on your ballot on Saturday and we collectively said yes. So we'll break that down a little bit. Also, this hour, everything under the sun with Moon. We got Moon Griffon coming your way at 8:15. That's we're Moon and I'll probably gonna be a similar conversation to the one we just had with Scott. But we all know Moon was heavy into John Fleming's camp. And gave Fleming his let me be clear. John Fleming said he had Moon's endorsement. Moon said he was voting for John Fleming. So I don't know if there's a difference between the two, if we're splitting hairs or whatnot. But we all know Moon was all in on John Fleming from the start. So we'll talk with Moon a little bit about how do you take everything negative you've said about somebody and just forget it to show your party alliance. We'll talk about that. Right now, though, this day in history. All right, what you got, Wilton?
Just got a few things today for this day in history. June 29th. Did you know back in 1613?
I do know where you're going with this
Shakespeare's
one.
Globe Theatre in
Yes.
London caught fire, burned down during a performance of Henry VIII.
Yes.
That's the furthest back thing I have. Also, June 29th, 1964, the Civil Rights Act passed the U.S. Senate. Was not signed into law on this day, but it just passed the Senate.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll probably talk about it again in a few days whenever Lyndon Johnson signed it into law.
Yep.
Staying in the 60s, 1966. This is when U.S. planes bombed Hanoi, the capital of North Vietnam. This was our first time doing a bombing run on Vietnam in the Vietnam War.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see. Getting in a little more present day. In 2022, this isn't as much of like an event as it was just kind of a little trivia for you. Earth recorded its shortest day ever. So 1.59 milliseconds faster than a standard day.
Really?
Yeah. So that's just
Wow.
due to the rotation of the Earth, I guess, and maybe our position.
I mean, why
in our
why
orbit.
would they bother even telling us?
I don't even know how people know that or how that
right.
was determined, but that is the fact for the day. You got anything else for this day in history?
No, I did not think you were going to have the Globe Theater one. I was going to hit you with that one and be like, but no, he nailed it.
I'm a theater fan, man. Moving on to some birthdays. The only notable birthday that I pulled, Kawhi Leonard of the LA Clippers turning 35 today.
Okay.
Yeah. You got any more?
So Gary Busey's 82 today.
Okay, did not see that.
And this one is one a little more local. I don't know. Well, local and Catholic. Born on this day in 1927 was Bishop Ott.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Did not know that. Okay. Let me see. I guess we move on up the birthdays, going into any notable deaths of this day in history. I got just a few. Henry Clay, the United States politician. He's notable for postponing the U.S. getting into the Civil War with some legislation on the Senate floor, I believe.
Yep.
And Hollywood, I got Jane Mansfield and Katharine Hepburn.
All right,
today.
I had both Jane Mansfield and Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn died on this day in 2003, I believe. Jane Mansfield, get ready for this. We're about to go local, y'all.
Who you got?
Jane Mansfield died on this day in 1967. Do you know where? New Orleans area, Chef Mentor Highway. On our way back from a show in Biloxi, heading back into New Orleans in an overnight car crash. Also, this day in 2020, Carl Reiner died.
I'm learning all kinds of new stuff.
Yep.
All right. Some national days, some important national days, I guess. Today is National Camera Day, Darts Day, and a Hug Holiday. So
okay,
yeah. If you see somebody you know, decide if you want it to be Hug Holiday or Darts Day for them.
pretty definitive line right there. By the way, I did miss one from the world of baseball. Born on this day in 1936 was Harmon Killebrew. That is this day in history. We are just about due up for our next break. I do need to remind you about the folks over at Industry Makes. IndustryMakes.org is the website. IndustryMakes.org, a collective voice for industry in Louisiana. And if you're asking yourself, why does industry need a collective voice? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. It's because Louisiana's manufacturing sector and the businesses that support them, they just can't sit on the sidelines while everyone protests everything that they do. Industry Makes is a co-branding toolkit that allows all businesses and associations to use in complement with their own advocacy in branding efforts to show a united front and a shared benefit from industry's presence in the community, making the shoes on our feet, employing our neighbors. They do it all. IndustryMakes.org. 8:15 Talk World 73 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We got Moon Griffon on deck, but I do need a quick second to talk about the folks over at ExxonMobil. Been in our backyard for 115 years, employing our neighbors at ExxonMobil, helping power Louisiana for over 115 years through good jobs, a strong focus on safety, and long-term investment in our community. Now, as we move from 115 years to the next 115 years, energy needs are going to change. ExxonMobil, or they are changing, I should say. ExxonMobil is applying their current experience to new solutions like carbon capture and storage, projects that help support industry, keep jobs here at home, and bring new opportunities to markets across Louisiana. It's what they've always done. Gas and oil is going to be what they always do, but as they move into the future, they're adopting some new things. If you want to learn more about what they're doing and how they're doing it at ExxonMobil, visit aboutlaccs.com, aboutlaccs.com. All right, fresh off of the election night, we keep that conversation rolling. Moon Griffon is on with us. How are you, brother?
Ron, I'm doing awesome, man. I got up again today, so I'm doing good, bro.
That's always a good thing.
I spent Saturday in the basin fishing. I don't think I even got home almost 6 o'clock, and I ran and went out to eat. Got home about 9 and took a shower and went to bed and kept my phone off and got up Saturday morning and found out that Miss Ledlow had won. In a landslide, and I congratulate her. Also, I will be voting for her in the fall. I had a lot of people texting or emailing mostly going, I ain't voting. Y'all need to calm down. Julie Ledlow is going to be the next senator from Louisiana. People need to get a grip, and they need to vote for her because just 5 months in between elections, people will not lose their mind as quick as they used to do in a jungle primary. So she's going to be the next senator, and she won, and she did a smart thing. She got the Trump endorsement before she got in.
Yeah.
And that one move is why she's sitting pretty. And I got to congratulate her. She did it. And that's what you do. You move on.
Why that one move got her in the race to begin with. I mean, she would not have run if he had not talked her into running.
No, that is true. But let me tell you something. I always say this about politics. It takes a little luck, but you also got to be savvy.
Yeah.
For her to be able to do that, people say Jeff Landry. I don't care about all that. She got it. Everybody wanted it. If Trump would have endorsed Cassidy, everybody would have got out the race. If Trump would have endorsed Fleming, it would have been a Fleming-Cassidy race. Fleming beat him 60-40 in the first round. It's over. But that didn't happen. She got the endorsement.
Right.
And I think with a lot of the dark pack money, she was able to walk in the race, and she did. You got to give her credit.
It is interesting though, because Fleming did work, in whatever capacity it was. He did work in that office with the president, and he was the first one in the race. It is interesting that Fleming ran for treasurer, saying he was going to run for Senate. He's been running for Senate longer than he's been running for Senate. So
I think that's the safe thing to say, Brian. You're right about that.
It's of record. I mean, it was used. It was attempted to be used in the treasurer's race to say, do you want a treasurer or do you want someone who's just climbing a political ladder?
Sure.
And that was thrown in his face back then. I'll admit I was a little bit hurt by that as well, because as a voter, I felt like a pawn.
Everybody's got to realize everybody running for office, mostly trying to run for another office. Some people will go fill out their cycle. Jeff was always running for governor before he ran for attorney general. That was a fact. I could have told you that.
No, but he did his job.
I know, but they stuck around a term or two, like you're saying, and then they ran for the job. So,
right.
Yeah, I get it.
No, everybody has where they want to be eventually in life, but you gotta walk before you gotta crawl before you walk, and walk before you run. So that was skipping a step along the way. All right,
Brian, let me tell you, I heard these posters that poll this were so far wrong it wasn't even funny. But I know people in the Ledlow campaign. I know a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Their polls had it about 5 or 6 points. They were scared to death too. But the fact of the matter is that it ended up being a lot bigger race.
Yeah.
But I would tell you this: I was sitting down Friday. I went to my mom's, and me and my brother were fishing the tournament. And I don't watch Fox and all that stuff. I read. I don't watch all that. But anyway, they had Fox on a couple of shows. And I told my brother, because every advertisement that came on had an anti-Fleming ad. And here was the funny thing. Several times it was back-to-back 1 minute blasting him. I said, Steve, you see that? That's what people see. And I said, the average person, I'm just being blunt, they They're not looking at anything but what them ads say. And a friend of mine pointed out this, Brian, I'll throw it like this. Let's say, Brian, my wife was told by somebody, Moon's always gone, he's cheating on you. And my wife would say, you're full of crap, I know Moon. And that might be fine one time. But if every time my wife went out, somebody said, Moon's cheating on you, Moon's cheating on you, Moon's cheating on you, you don't tell me in her mind and heart she would go, I don't know about this now. And I think there was so much beating of Fleming, and they beat him. And I tell you, they beat him so bad, I don't think he runs for the he's not going to run again. He's not going to run again for lieutenant governor. And I think because he didn't drop out, some of the powers of base said, we're going to show you what it feels like. We're going to beat you now. We're going to beat you next time. And I think that's what they did to the man. Now, you may not agree with that, but they ran 70 to 81 negative ads against him. You ain't beating that, Ron. You're not beating that.
Okay, but you said that's what's going to influence the average voter. Turnout was 316,000 and change. Did the average voter even show up?
Well, yeah, Brian, you had you still had people to go vote. I mean, the average voter, I'm an average voter. I vote all the time.
Oh, no, sir. You are you are not an average voter. You are a chronic voter like I am.
Well, you're right about that. I try to vote. But what I'm saying is, Brian, when I say the average voter is, that's somebody watching ads. Because if you knew, and I can tell you this, but everything I tell you already know. But I had people go, Moon, I don't know what to believe. I don't know what I had to believe.
Well,
why ain't this? Why ain't that? And so they would say, hell, I'm voting with the Trump person. I don't know what to believe.
I mean, you nail it with that part. I'm voting with the Trump person. I think was a big play right there for sure.
Yeah, it was. But no, you got to give Julia credit because Julia Letlow did the biggest thing she needed, and she knew how to get over the top was to get the Trump endorsement. And I think that in itself was a hell of a political move. Because let's be honest, Fleming wanted it. Miguez and Julie Emerson was in it originally. They would have wanted it. Cassidy wanted it.
Yeah.
Bill Cassidy would have loved to have that. But it didn't happen, and the one that got it ended up prevailing. So you got to give her credit. She's going to be the senator. People in the Republican Party that voted in the primaries, I ain't voting for her. Y'all need to chill out.
Let's talk about
because
that.
You know, Brian, let me throw one more thing in.
Go for it.
We're going to have congressional races in November, too.
Mm-hmm.
And those congressional races, we got six congressional districts. 5 of them are Republicans. When they walk into your district and vote for that Republican, they're going to put Republican Julia Letlow. That's going to happen.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about flipping people back from the Fleming camp to the Letlow camp. You've been very, very open and transparent about this. You've been very open to say you were voting for John Fleming. If he comes up short, you're an easy move over to Julia Letlow. However, and I talked about this with Scott McKay last hour, Facebook is not reflective of that as far as a lot of Fleming voters are concerned. I don't know how you take 4 months worth of bashing someone in the ground and then waking up the next morning saying everything's cool. I don't think they're going to flip to Jamie Davis for sure, but I think there might be a general apathy come November. And should we be on the lookout for some level of interesting third party?
No, I think you're going to be fine. If Julia Letlow gets less than 65, 70%, I'll be shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, these people that are saying this, if you'd have went by social media, Fleming was going to win 70-30.
Well,
it just that never materializes. And I got to tell you, let's go back to the old jungle primary, Ron. You would have 30 days. Now you got July, August, September, October, over 4 months. People are going to settle down and they're going to say, okay, now who is the opponent?
Right.
You're going to send a Democrat from Louisiana to go vote against Trump?
Man, come on, an honest farmer, a working man? Come on. I tried.
But you see what I'm saying? So
no, I know. And here's the thing, though, Moon, and I want this as part of the conversation, too.
Yes, sir.
Because, yes, we got 4 months here, but that's not how it was originally drawn up. And this is why I think there might be some level of either apathy or resentment that doesn't go away. And when we originally drew up closed party primaries, this runoff election was supposed to happen a month earlier, which means two different things. One less month on the back end in order for wounds to heal, but one more month on the front end. You talked about it just a minute ago. The barrage of negative ad after negative ad after negative ad. That's a door that swings both ways. I know the dollars were different, but it's a door that swings both ways. So you had a full extra month of hating Julia Letlow before having to reverse course again. think about if we had that shortened time frame leading up to the closed party primary, it would have been less time to grow hatred for the other side, which means less you'd have to, reverse course once the election happened. We screwed this up.
But Brian, we're basing what you said on an assumption. We're assuming everybody that voted for Fleming hates Ledlow. I just said I'm voting for him at 9 o'clock. I'm telling people I'm voting for him and why. So I think there are way more people. 90% of the people are going to be like me. I really do.
I hope so. I hope
once
so.
Again, you judging that, not you. I'm not saying you. We. Let's say we. We're judging that based on social media.
Right.
I wouldn't judge anything based on social media. Most people are going to go in. Is Trump's name's going to be on there? I didn't go against Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go against Trump at all. I just said I'm voting for Fleming. That's all I said. I said, here's why, and I will vote for Ledlow if she's in a row. That's why I made sure I never said a word about Ledlow, because I didn't want to get into that. I knew it was going to be Fleming or Ledlow. So now it's Ledlow. I pray she wins. I pray she wins big. I think, Brian, some of that negative stuff, is some people realize it's just the heat of the battle, and then we move on. You just move on. And I don't think with being that it's a congressional. Now, Brian, let me back up. If there were no congressional races on the ballot, I would lean in a little bit harder to what you're saying. But since we do go vote and Republicans are going to win 5 of the 6 seats, they're going to pull that Lowe's lead. And the few that don't just don't, but they're going to pull it. That's what I think happened.
Ultimately, I agree with you. I just, from the point of this, from a discussion standpoint, and look, when you look at the numbers wise, and I know numbers in November are going to be beefed up from what they were last week, and I understand that fully. But if you look at the numbers from Saturday, if you take all of the Democrats that voted, if you assume that Jamie Davis gets 100% of Gary Crockett's vote, 196,190 people voted on Saturday on the Democratic side. Julia Letlow got 179,971. As it stands right now, of the 135,000 and change that John Fleming got, Letlow only needs 20 grand of those to move over to her side. Yeah. So yes, I do think this is going to end up being a walk, especially when you add congressional races back into it. But I think Louisiana's electorate needs to get a little bit more introspective pretty quickly.
And I think they will, Brian. I think we got to look at the summer. I think if you're like me, I'm going to take off a little bit of time in July. I'm ready to get away from the whole thing. Oh, yeah. But it's summer, man. You're going to probably take a few days. People are going to get away from it and move away from it. But when you put another opponent, being a Democrat in this state, on the other side, they're going to vote to beat the Democrat. They're going to make sure Trump has another Republican. So it to me, it's not a contest, but your perspectives, they're good on it. I just think that, look, man, I've been in this. I tell people all the time, I joke, and you've heard me say it. If I say I'm voting for you, the chance of you winning is almost zero.
You actually did say that last week.
No.
Oh, look, man, you put the kibosh on John Fleming. You put the gree on him.
John never knew I was going to do what I did. I didn't talk to John Fleming. I said, look, this is what I'm going to do. I was at the beach. I said, I'm going to do this. This is what I feel right. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not helping me, for sure. And I said, I'm going to do what's right. So I did what was right in my heart. But the bottom line, I was at a meeting speaking Thursday in New Iberia. And when I told people that, I said, hey, if you're running for office and you want to win, tell me who your opponent is and I'll endorse them. And you win, and they just fell out laughing. But I'm saying that, but there's a lot of truth to it. I wish it wasn't, but the only one I remember winning was Bill Cassidy, my buddy, against Mary Landrieu. That was the only one I can remember. I'm talking about, now look, I ain't done that a bunch, but the few I've done, I've lost every one of them.
He is Moon Griffon, catching him coming up 9 to noon right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Always appreciate the time, brother. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, if you run for office, let me make sure.
No. I will send you my opponent's name for sure.
All right, bro.
Later, Moon. Oh, my word. One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com. 400-8005 is the phone number. Tell you all the time, if you didn't build your house, your bathroom wasn't built for you. It was built for somebody else. Somebody else put in those specifications and probably did so a couple of decades ago. How many houses in Baton Rouge were built in the 60s, 70s, or 80s? I mean, a lot of them, right? Well, our needs have changed from then till now. Christy and I, my wife and I, we walked through this last year. We decided it was time for a new bathroom, and that's exactly what we went out and got. We called David and his team at One Bath and Closets, got his 30 years plus of experience into our house, working on our bathroom, revamped it to where we have 2 vanities, a walk-in shower, and the lighting is phenomenal. Been so happy with the results. Learn more at onebathandclosets.com. Were they late?
Yeah, you ended at like 8:30, 25.
Really? All right.
I better be early than late though.
Yeah.
So, correct. So there's several of them now. It's not. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up there, which. Okay. I'm gonna talk to you. Take over the board and then we'll see. So you don't have to worry about that.
Everybody's making it sound like this could be super easy for people to just put the shit back in the horse.
I got PowerPoints on.
Oh.
So he's gonna move over to mic 2 because we always have 2 guests. So set up your mic 2.
And there will be a third on the phone at one point.
So set up mic 2 and 4, just like you are mic 3.
That after that was defeated state treasurer John Fleming with 27% of the vote for the Republicans, and on the Democratic side, Davis took 80% of the vote against opponent Gary Parkett Saturday. Despite those numbers,
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, I thought I responded the first time. I guess I didn't. It's mumbled, I guess. Good morning. So, sorry, they had a whole gang of people in here on Saturday cleaning up for you.
Oh, Janet Maurice, this is Wilton.
Wilton?
Wilton.
Wilton,
Yes.
good to meet you.
I did one. I was just shadowing. Like I wasn't touching the board at all for one of y'all's.
Yeah, last week.
Yes, it was when
Well,
Brian was out.
not here yet.
Oh,
I
okay.
led the interview.
Oh,
for it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
We do have a special break.
we do. So what you're gonna do, that's it. Hold on. I'll wait till we get out. I mean, oh, okay, yes.
I
we're
use
gonna-
that instead of the rejoin music, right?
Correct. So instead of rejoining Brian, go straight into the BREC room.
Okay.
Hmm?
So Robin wanted us to cancel today.
Really?
Really?
And we said no. This is before we knew what
Brian,
the
do I need
results
to
were.
call someone real quick
Well,
and
I
get
think
them set up?
why is because this was.
That person will call in midway through the segment, I think.
Okay.
I believe.
Now a check on your drive from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center.
We are seeing a better flow of traffic now on Florida Boulevard approaching Sherwood Forest. Previous crash we had there has been moved down to the roadway, so things are picking up there. We're both walking down very well. Few areas of minor slow clouds, but nothing that will hold you up for very long. And we have taken a few actions at Greenwell Street and here. I'm ready with our. This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's, save more on what you need to get the job done right. Right now at Lowe's, get 15% off select custom entry and interior doors. Plus save $8 on the Volt 20-volt Max 2 total combo kit, now just $169. Valid through 7/8, also Lifestyle.
Oh, it's one of those weekends where there wasn't a weekend, you know.
I had my grandkids here this whole weekend.
Oh, wow.
Here we go.
This is the BREC Room, a weekly conversation centered around the joys of the outdoors through a variety of experiences. Now taking you through today's particular topics. Here's Brian Haldane.
Yes, I'm on. Yes, it's time for the BREC Room. Keeping things moving. We got Janet Simmons and Maurice Velasquez in with us. How's everybody doing this morning?
Good morning.
Very
It's a
good.
beautiful day
Beautiful morning.
outside.
It is.
Really
I haven't looked far enough ahead though. How quick is it just going to get scorching?
Well, it's gonna get hot.
It's going to be raining a lot.
Yeah. Oh,
supposedly.
Okay.
But you know,
But right
I'm
now
not
it's
the
a blue
weatherman.
sky and it's beautiful.
Right.
Gotta love it. Big weekend last
Oh,
weekend.
wow.
I don't want to
Yeah.
underscore this. I don't want to like underplay it at all. This was a big weekend last weekend.
So we had a little scoring going on, you know, at the office, see where we would land. And I want to say that yours truly.
If the price was right rules, then yes, she would win the projection.
Oh, okay. You got in there was a
Well, I got
pool
close.
running?
Yep,
not a
63.
pool, just
It was 63%. I guess 65. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are we comfortable with we're comfortable with 51, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was great. It's exactly what I expected. Of course, we had a lot of people that didn't vote, which means a no vote. I mean,
Right.
it's the same. As
So
no
okay,
vote.
you noticed that too then. It was by a
Yeah.
few hundred, like more people voted in the library race than voted in the BREC race.
Correct.
And I want to say Council on Aging was right down the middle. I don't know what causes someone
Yeah,
you're
I don't
there.
know.
You're right in front of the ballot. Like you're just what is it? You know, I didn't understand
I don't
that.
know if it's people that don't use the parks or don't think that they use the parks because there are very few people in our city and in our parish that don't use a park in some way or another.
Yeah. Well, it's
You
tough not to. I mean,
Right.
it's BREC. I say it all the time. You've got to be all things to all people, and in some way, form, or fashion,
Right.
your thing is going to fall under, or their thing is going to fall under your thing.
I mean, it might be just going to a family reunion under a pavilion,
right?
You know, just something that simple, and you're not thinking, I'm at a park.
Mhm.
You know, it's just utilizing the things that we offer. So in so many things, this weekend and July the 5th, they're going to have a big shindig out at Highland.
Oh.
St. George is doing a big celebration. Yep.
Okay.
250 years celebration of our country. So that's
July
really
5th at
exciting.
Highland.
But we certainly thank the voters of Baton Rouge.
We
for
absolutely.
supporting us,
Let's talk about that for a
yeah.
quick second because this was, it was a renewal, but it was still a campaign, which means that y'all were out and about on a number of listening tours. You've been on listening tours just to get feedback for where the parks are headed to begin with. But when it came to the millage, what did you hear from people that they wanted? Like, what did you hear from people from a campaign perspective?
I think the thing that I heard the most was they didn't want to lose anything.
Okay.
Right. Because that would have, you would have lost if the millage had not passed, we would have lost things like programming and operations and maintenance and cleanliness and lawns being mowed and things being fixed and all of those things that we've been really working hard on this last year to get right. And so it would have almost been like the work that we did in the last year was not consequence.
I read an email that one of the directors sent their team members this morning, and I thought that his message to them, first of all, thanking them and encouraging them to thank everybody for the support was very positive. And at the end of his email, he said, we need to keep up the good work, but it is now time to raise the standards. And I thought those were really good closing line because I really feel that that's what the message was. BREC, we're going to support you. We're going to hear you. We're going to recognize that there's been changes made, but raise the standards. And so having read that email this morning that we totally unsolicited from us, it was just one of the directors taking it upon themselves to greet their employees. I thought those were really good. He captured it very well.
Not to pat yourselves on the back too much, but where do you think this would have been had we not seen so much catch up played over the last year or so when it comes to keeping the house in order?
Well,
getting the house back in order, I should say.
I want to start with where you phrased the question. Let's not pat ourselves too much in the back because we do want to take a little much more of a humbler approach. You know, first of all, we're honored that we've received the incredible amount of support. First of all, from the original commissioners who hired us to come on board as a great vote of confidence. The enormous amount of you could say leeway and trust that they gave us to fix things. The team members themselves, the directors who came in and saw us change a lot of things. One of them told me last week, y'all came in as heavy. That wasn't nice, you know. And we said, well, we had to. That's what we were asked to do, you know. But I think it did resonate from all the articles and the things that were said, both for and against, that everybody really appreciated the honest attempt at trying to be transparent and trying to get things done. And at least moving it in the right direction. Look, if you just change 3 degrees on a ship, you end up on a different part of the earth, right?
Oh, completely.
If you just simply start making those necessary moves, people appreciate that. And I think that resonated.
Well, let's look at the departments, the specific departments that have really worked to do this. So our IT department they've blown it out of the water. Our finance department, getting all the audits up to speed. And now we're getting ready to file our audit for this 2025 on time tomorrow.
Right.
On June 30th, which is great. That finance team, they have been working overtime, multiple hours over the weekend. I mean, they've really put in all of the efforts. Our communications department, they brought it to the table.
We restructured P&E and we restructured Park Ops, and they all resonated very well.
And
they bounced
recreation.
back. Yeah.
So, all of them.
Yeah. So
really.
Everyone has really stepped up. And again, I think people just were very thankful that it wasn't going to stay dormant and the status quo was not acceptable anymore. So I think that resonated.
And our HR department has really increased the time frame that it takes to hire somebody and all of the things that is necessary for us to get great team members there. So it's across the board. All of our departments have done incredible. Rapid response, you name it.
Yeah.
We've got it going.
We're very grateful.
We've got Janet Simmons and Maurice Velasquez in with us for the BREC Room. All right, well then it's back to business. I think the most recent public discussion takes us up to Baker.
Yeah.
For park improvements there. What's the latest?
So there was a very good press announcement. We had been meeting with the mayor's office for several months to look at the parks. A lot of what we're doing now throughout all the different areas. We did a workshop about 3 months ago with the mayor's office. He invited quite a number of stakeholders, business individuals, community leaders, council members, and had a very good 4-hour discussion about what needs to be improved and resetting and brushing off all the things that BREC had said for years that it was going to do that it didn't get done. Let's put them all on the table. Let's reprioritize them. And what the press announcement did was to announce what those plans were. And just immediately you come off the I-110 corridor to take a right on Scenic High. It just doesn't look good. So we got to improve that park. And then between there and Baker, the mayor's office and the Baker's office are working together to beautify that area. And then what we're planning is the resetting of the plans for the baseball diamonds for Baker, and that's going to be a very big initiative.
Talk about that for just a quick second, because for those of us who aren't in Baker regularly, I don't think we're privy to what the facilities are like.
A lot of it has to do with increasing athletics at Baker and having tournaments and doing tourism, sports tourism.
Yep.
And so they're wanting to attract more hotels there, more restaurants, all of those things. And when you have people come into your city from out of town to visit, you've got to have those amenities. And so really improving all of the things at Baker, not just the ball fields, but the whole city as a whole. And that's what the Mayor Waite's wanting to do.
Sports tourism is ridiculous.
Huge.
Yeah.
I like, and you skip vacations and it's replaced by playing travel ball in some form or fashion.
Each one of the mayors all around from day one have basically told us we need to convert all of our parks to becoming a place to go, not a place to go away from. Our families are traveling way too much away from Baton Rouge to go play in nearby places that you get there and you go, well, why can't we have this back at home?
Right.
And then they come back and they say, look, and so they take pictures, they bring us, we tour with them to other areas, and they want that. Whether some of them are huge complexes or small complexes, it doesn't matter. Different size tournaments, they want them their area to be a place to go to.
Yeah.
Not only that, Billy Nungesser's office is really increasing the amount of people we have coming into the state from out of state for Olympic trials. And so they're wanting to do these Olympic trials all over the state. And the thing about New Orleans, which is a great place to go, but it's so expensive.
Right.
And so when people come in for the things like the Olympic trials, they want to go to a smaller town so that the cost of staying is not as much. And so having the hotels in places like Baker and Zachary and Central and St. George, that's an opportunity for us to really improve that sports tourism as well.
It makes sense because of the airline traffic, right? You land, you shouldn't have to go all the way to Baton Rouge to find a good number of hotels, and you shouldn't have to go travel very far to go find sports activities.
Right. I know, absolutely. Look, you're talking to a basketball dad,
right?
I know the travel circuit now. It's last couple of years that has grown, and yeah, it is the replacement of your vacation dollars,
Right?
And it can be
Absolutely.
spent somewhere where you're not a traditional, vacation destination. Not everything has to go down to the
And
Gulf Coast.
if you heard anything about the press announcements, what the theme really was, there's nothing new here. It's what was promised a long time ago.
Right.
It somehow sat dormant. It fell apart. It didn't get done. We're just renewing what we said from IYP3 that we're going to get done. Now let's get it done.
Hoping to talk with Mike Raby, the director of golf, in just a little bit as soon as he hops on the hotline. Before we get there, though, Red, White, and Zoo Day coming up. Tell me about it.
Oh, how much fun is that? July 4th from 9:30 to 5 p.m. at the zoo. They're celebrating red, white, and blue animal friends. So they are going to have a scavenger hunt, which is going to be great, featuring patriotic colored animals. I can't imagine what
Patriotic colored animals.
Yep. I'm thinking of parrots and those kinds of things. And then probably they're going to dress up some animals.
Okay.
And enjoy animal chats and enrichment activities throughout the day. So it's going to be a great day on Saturday. Come out to the zoo on July 4th and celebrate our Independence Day.
Awesome stuff. And then, of course, you already mentioned July 5th will be an America 250 event with the folks at St. George out at Highland Road Park.
Highland Road Park. Absolutely.
Very
it's going to be very exciting.
Waiting on Mike Raby to connect with us. Was hoping to get to him before we got to our break, which is coming up in about 3.5 minutes from right now. I tell you what, since we don't have Mike on with us just yet, kind of walk us through the latest on the upcoming City Brooks Park Master Plan meeting.
Yeah. So first of all, it's 5:30, 7:30. Doors open at 5 p.m. We're going to do it at our theater at Independence Park, the Independence Park Theater. So the general format is really pretty much responding to the previous community meeting. We're going to open the microphones, okay, and allow for folks to come. It's going to be very orderly, very, very civil. We're going to give everybody 2 minutes in the microphone like you normally do at the commission meeting.
Sure.
All right. And we're going to have a panel right now. The panel is really intended to be us, and by us meaning commissioners, BREC, opportunity for people just to really express their thoughts as to what they want to hear and get some answers, get some direction, and at least hear that some of the decisions haven't been made. You know what I'm saying? That's got to be part of it.
So
at least that's part of it.
We've had a number of meetings so far. Are we still looking for new ideas, or are we just looking to vet the ideas that are out there?
Well, right now, what we're trying to do is vet the two proposals that are out there and hear what folks want to see, want to happen, because there's a lot of different amenities that go with the two models that we have. So the primary focus is to open up all the lines of communication to make sure everybody sees that we're indeed wanting to hear from everybody. So if anybody comes up with a new idea, of course, we certainly are open to it. But right now we're trying to vet the two main ideas that are currently on the table.
And walking through that is y'all have, I mean, this is not, I've lost count of how many community meetings this is now.
This is probably the third or fourth.
No, we've had more than that.
Well, I'm talking about community meetings.
Well, but we've had individual like HOA meetings and those kinds of things, which are the same as community meetings.
And
I do want to say one thing.
Stakeholders, but yes, but as far as community meetings like this is about the third or fourth. But
I do want to say thank you though to those voters, because they did come out and voted. They came out and voted, and we really appreciate that, because
you're talking about folks that were probably not liking where we're headed with the park, but yet they voted in favor of BREC. That's what you're saying.
Possibly. We don't know exactly, but it feels like that.
Right. It feels like that there was a lot of objectivity about it. Again, can't but thank everybody for doing that.
Yeah.
Tell you what, we're going to push pause right here. We're going to check traffic. We got to check your money now. Coming back on the backside of the break, hopefully we're connecting with Mike Raby, the director of golf for BREC. You're listening to the BREC Room on Talk 107.3 FM. Here's traffic. All right.
Sorry about that. 408-1897.
Yeah, that number's been down for over a month.
So what's the number?
499-1073.
499
1073.
1073.
And that was Trinity trying to call.
Okay. Okay, he's got it now.
You got to be careful with your snapping. That's my signal for be quiet. And I'm like,
sorry,
I can't.
I was trying to get Brittany.
I didn't know what you were trying to say, and then I saw her.
Well, I had the vantage point of seeing Bree Lynn walking out the room, so I knew where she was going.
So all I know is that I don't know what I actually said when I was talking.
Well, you were fine. I think you were fine.
I have no idea what happened there.
Trinity's number saved. Your money now. Your money now.
Yep.
Whenever we go to talks, Anitra is responsible. One of the ones for signaling me, cut it. So I'm used to when I'm talking,
right.
Be cued to be quiet.
Yeah, our hotline has been down for a month. I'm gonna have to be sure that Trinity uses the request line from now on. I'm so sorry about that. We are in a commercial. Give us 3 minutes, okay? Okay.
That was Brian's nice way of saying, Mike, wherever you are, get on the phone and call.
Pretty much. I didn't realize we're still giving out the hotline number because it's been so long on this end,
right?
And I believe y'all's last handful of guests have all called the regular line.
Okay,
we haven't.
So I didn't realize that he kept trying to call the hotline.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to go straight into that, or just?
I'm gonna go into him.
Yeah, okay,
I'm
good,
gonna go into
good.
him. And then if you've got any closing thoughts on the way back out, if there's anything else we need to get to, I can wrap up with him with about 3 minutes to go.
What's the number to tell someone to call the studio if I ever need to?
499-1073.
Like 225 first?
Yep, 225-499-1073. So an easy way to realize that, Walton, all of our stations will start with 499, 9898 for Eagle, 499, 0707 for Tiger. You know what I mean? Like you see like a pattern here.
So what's this one?
499-1073.
So it says in here, and I don't have a whole lot of questions. I don't have any questions written down. But
just regular regional
discuss
music.
golf as a whole, give an overview related to what happened with BREC Golf right now. Perhaps even discuss things that are not City Park for this portion. Does that mean you don't want me to talk about City Park at all?
No, you can talk about City Park, but we've got Santa Maria, which is our most populated golf course, and you have Beaver Creek up in the north. You have Webb, of course, and maybe even talk about the LSU golf course closing, and how it impacts us.
852 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. The BREC Room rolling right along. It's time to talk a little bit about small ball. Talk a little golf. We got Mike Raby on with us. He's director of golf for BREC. Mike, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Good morning, Brian. Happy to be with you.
Glad to have you on here. I want to start with an overall view of where golf is at in society right now, because I feel like golf is on pardon the pun, on an upswing.
Yes, well done. Well done. Yes, golf is on a follow through. It's on an upswing. Golf, it started before COVID, a couple of years, the 2018, the 2019, 2020, and since really 2020, golf all over the United States has really been booming. So, for example, in 2018, at the time, BREC had 6 golf courses. We did 111,000 rounds of golf. A round of golf is a time that one person comes out and plays. Last year in 2025, we did 204,000 rounds of golf with 5 golf courses instead of 6. So that's up 80+% in a 6-year period.
Can you split that up between 9-hole and 18-hole? Because I love playing golf and I don't have time. So walk me through a little bit about what numbers look like on that front.
Well, we've got 3 18-hole courses, Santa Maria, Beaver Creek, and Webb, and they are our busiest golf course. Actually, Webb Park is BREC's busiest golf course, did 56,000 rounds of golf last year. Number 2, for as far as busy, is Santa Maria, did 52,000 rounds of golf. And then Beaver Creek up by Zachary did 44,000 rounds of golf. And those numbers are almost double what they were 10 years ago. Now, our 9-hole courses, City Park and J.S. Clark. Now, a lot of golfers will play 18 holes at a 9-hole course. So if they're going around twice, that kind of cuts the amount of people that can play there
in
about half. But City Park last year did 28,000 rounds of golf, and J.S. Clark did 24, I believe, was pushing 25,000 rounds.
Mhm.
You know, we renovated J.S. Clark Golf Course about 3 years ago.
Yep.
And it's if someone hasn't been there in the last 3 years, we lengthened the golf course. We added 5 new holes. You know, it's now, if you play 18 holes at J.S. Clark, you can play a golf course from the back tees that's longer than Webb Park.
Wow, really?
And people just don't realize how much we lengthened the golf course. J.S. Clark, we also built these giant modern new putting greens with large levels, and they're just huge putting greens. And we did it on purpose so that we could put 2 flags in each putting green. So the first time around, if you play the first 9, you can play to one flag color. The second 9, you play to the other flag color. If you want to, you can play from one set of tees the first 9 and a second set of tees the second 9. So you can play 18 holes at a 9-hole facility, but still have it feel more like 18-hole play because you have the option to use different tees and play to different holes.
Yeah, I don't know that I could do that, Mike, because I mean, you know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. If I'm running through that 9 again, I would get so frustrated.
Well, you know, if you decide to play the 1-hole color flag,
yeah,
you're going to hit it closer to the other one.
Right. So good. We got Mike Raby on with us. He's director of golf for BREC. By the way, Mike is a PGA of America golf professional, director of golf at BREC, and was recently named. It was last year's, I believe. Gulf State's PGA Golf Professional of the Year. Kudos on that one, man.
Congratulations.
Yes, that was a very. It's always nice. That came as quite a surprise, but it's always nice to get recognized by your peers. The Gulf State's PGA is all the PGA professionals at golf courses in Louisiana and Mississippi. So that was quite an honor. I'm pretty excited about it.
Within BREC's 5 golf courses, give me the hidden gem that you notice when you're playing that maybe we might not pick up on. Just that we're, you know, if we all have our routines, right? I mean, some people it's Webble, and yes, everyone calls it Webble Beach. Nobody calls it Webb Park. But City Park's my favorite overall. What's your gem?
Well, you know, it really. The coolest thing about all of them is how they branch out across the golf ecosphere, where, you know, like at City Park, due to the City Park's more like a bunny slope for golf. You know, new golfers, junior golfers, senior golfers can go there and enjoy it, but so can a very experienced golfer. But that more experienced golfer probably doesn't want to play there all the time. They're probably going to look for a greater challenge. So they're going primarily more to Santa Maria and Beaver Creek that are higher end, harder, you know, look more like what you see on TV golf courses. And then the 18-hole Webble Beach, as you call it, and others do too. That's kind of in the middle. You know, it's not quite as long as Santa Maria or Beaver Creek. It's not quite as difficult as those, but you know, it really depends on where you are in the golf world and what kind of challenge. I think the overall unique thing is that we've got something that fits what just about everybody is looking for, depending on what type of challenge you're looking for, you know, in playing golf.
Which is remarkable when you consider that's over the course of just 5 courses. Like to be able to fit so many different needs into that layout that we have. It is incredible. Good stuff. Mike Raby, director of golf for BREC. I appreciate a couple minutes this morning. Thank you so much.
Yep, anytime. Glad to talk to you.
Likewise. All right, we got 1 minute to go before
you know,
we get out
it's
of here.
amazing that here in Baton Rouge we have a PGA expert,
right?
For BREC. I mean, think about it.
Yeah,
that's just an incredible privilege for us to be able to have somebody as talented as Mike doing our golf.
He knows the ins and outs enough to know that the 5 courses we have they're all phenomenal in their own right.
Right.
So
absolutely
that's good stuff across the board. Closing thoughts before we get out of here. We got about 30 seconds left.
Thank you very much, Baton Rouge, for your support of BREC. We really appreciate it.
Very much so.
Don't forget, July 14th is the next community meeting, community feedback meeting, July 14th, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at
the
BREC's
theater.
Independence Theater, which is right there behind the library.
Yes.
That's coming up to talk about the City Brooks Park, or is that just overall?
That's City Brooks Park.
City Brooks Park,
right?
Is what that's going to be. July 14th, 5:30 to 7:30. that is going to do it for us. Janet, Maurice, thank you as
Thank you, Brian.
always. We are done for this morning. We got Moon Griffon coming up next right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Obviously, a lot of election breakdown coming your way from Moon. He is on the way right after this on Talk 107.3 FM. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, my pleasure.